Are the children of the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, now living ordinary lives, or does that fierce rebellious spirit still surge through their veins passed down from their legendary father? We once caught a glimpse of their chaotic world through the wildly popular Osbourne family reality show in the early 2000s. They carry the Osbourne name, a name forever linked with chaos, controversy, and the kind of cultural shockwaves that leave a lasting mark on pop history. But that was only the surface. There was a time when the world couldn't look away from the Osbournes, from explosive arguments to bizarre yet strangely touching family moments that played out on TV screens around the globe. But have you ever wondered? Beyond the spotlight, beyond the staged mayhem and outrageous drama, what was really going on in the lives of Ozzy's children? If they've ever made you laugh, reflect, or feel inspired, show your love by hitting like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next wild untold story. Drop a 1 in the comments if you relate to Ozzy's kids, or a 0 if your take is different. An emotional, unexpected, and unforgettable journey lies ahead. Stay tuned. Elliot Kingsley, born in 1966, is the son of Thelma Riley from a previous relationship. When Thelma married Ozzy in 1971, Ozzy officially adopted Elliot. However, at that time, Ozzy was only 22 years old and at the peak of his career with the band Black Sabbath. As a newly famous figure, he was completely unprepared for the role of a father, and in fact, during that period, Ozzy was still deeply entangled in his personal struggles. He admitted that he was a selfish young man, addicted to alcohol and drugs with no concept of being a husband or father. Because of this, while Ozzy was becoming a global rock icon, Elliot grew up in a chaotic environment, lacking his father's care, and without the media attention given to his half-siblings. While Ozzy became a legend with his crazy on-stage antics like biting the head off a bat, Elliot chose a quieter artistic path. He dedicated himself to the theater, honoring classical dramatic culture with performances that were not bombastic, but full of respect and depth. Despite bearing the Osbourne name, Elliot never leveraged his family's fame for personal gain. Instead of participating in the family's hit reality TV shows, he maintained a humble position and worked diligently in the theater, building a career on his own talent and passion. Even when Ozzy passed away in 2025, Elliot's name was absent from the press release, a clear omission, but also a sign of the absolute respect for his desire for privacy. Although a member of the Osbourne family, Elliot always maintained his stance of living away from the limelight. To this day, Elliot Kingsley remains an enchanting mystery to the public, a son living outside the reach of the stage lights, quietly building a peaceful life while constantly surrounded by the immense shadow of his legendary father. His silence is not an escape, but a choice to live a distinct life, unswayed by the noise of the showbiz world. Jessica Starshine Osbourne, born on January 20, 1972, is the eldest daughter of Ozzy and Thelma Riley. However, the joy of Jessica's birth was short-lived, as just 6 months later, Ozzy had to leave England for the United States to record a new album with Black Sabbath. Ozzy's departure marked years of a father's absence in Jessica's life. As just a child, she had to face this distance, as her famous father could not be there to care for her during crucial moments. Jessica's childhood years lacked Ozzy's presence as he was constantly on tour and immersed in the life of a rising rock star. During those years, Ozzy was absent, not only due to tours, but also because of his uncontrollable battles with addiction. This meant Ozzy was almost entirely absent from the precious moments of Jessica's life, causing her to grow up with a sense of emotional deprivation from her father. Despite being part of a famous family, Jessica never experienced the warm father-daughter bond she deserved, but instead faced loneliness and a childhood marked by her father's absence. In the documentary, God Bless Ozzy Osbourne, 2011, Jessica openly admitted that she has almost no memories of her father throughout her childhood. She shared that every time Ozzy returned home, it felt like meeting a stranger, as her father needed time to reacquaint himself with the family before disappearing again on his next tour. These brief encounters made it difficult to build a strong emotional bond between father and daughter. Jessica recalled, "Dad's childhood was chaotic, which truly reflected the absence of a father figure during her crucial formative years. Her normal life never lasted long before everything got swept back into the noisy world of rock and roll, leaving her constantly feeling the void of Ozzy's presence." When Ozzy and Thelma's marriage ended in 1982, Jessica stayed in England with her mother. As a result, her life was largely separated from her father's wild world and the spotlight of fame. While Ozzy continued his music career, Jessica grew up in a peaceful environment away from the turmoil and chaos of the entertainment industry. Although her family was famous, she lived a relatively quiet life, untouched by the chaos Ozzy's career often stirred up. This distance helped her experience a more ordinary childhood, but also created a sense of emotional separation from the father she longed to be close to. These gaps, though unwanted, left a lasting wound in her memories. When Jessica was about 10 years old, her father Ozzy remarried Sharon and moved to Los Angeles to start a new family. Despite this, Jessica chose not to follow her father and decided to stay in England, completely separated from Ozzy's new life in America. This decision marked a major turning point in her life. Throughout her adulthood, she avoided the glamour and frenzy of the showbiz world that her famous father inhabited. Instead, Jessica quietly entered the entertainment industry on her own terms, not pursuing the same path her father took. She did not seek fame or public attention, preferring to live a peaceful life away from the spotlight. So which path did Jessica choose? The answer is that she inherited the family's creative bloodline, but in her own very unique way, unlike anyone else. Jessica decided to pursue a career in the arts, but she didn't stop at standing out on stage like her father. Instead, she chose the path of a stage actress and a behind-the-scenes specialist, particularly in the fields of costuming, makeup, and television production. With a true passion for the arts, Jessica gradually built a career in an environment that was less tumultuous and high-profile, yet still full of creativity and professionalism. She took on several small but memorable roles in television series, such as Better Call Saul Manhattan and The Messengers. Many who watched these episodes would never have guessed that the woman making a brief appearance in those scenes was the daughter of rock legend Ozzy Osbourne. Jessica did not use her family's fame to get ahead. Instead, she relied on her own talent and personal effort to build her career. Despite being part of a famous family, she succeeded in creating her own path and earning respect in her chosen industry. In her personal life, Jessica became the mother of 3 children, Isabel, Harry, and Kitty, giving Ozzy his first grandchildren. The arrival of the grandchildren brought new joy to the Osbourne family and also marked a significant turning point in Jessica's life. When Isabel, Jessica's firstborn daughter, was born in 2002, this moving moment was captured in an episode of the Osbourne family's reality TV show. It was a special occasion that marked Ozzy's transformation from an absent father into a joyous grandfather. Although Ozzy had not been a consistent presence in his children's lives before becoming a grandfather, allowed him to fully enjoy the happiness of the role. This not only brought joy to Ozzy, but also signified a change, as the Osbourne family began to enter a new chapter, filled with love and connection. Currently, Jessica continues to live a private life in the United States, working in the film industry and specializing in costuming in Hollywood. She has chosen to live quietly and focus on her work, not seeking fame or public attention. Jessica completely avoids cameras and does not participate in family events or reality television shows. Instead, she uses her talent and passion to create quality artistic products contributing to the film industry. When Ozzy passed away in 2025, Jessica remembered him in a very quiet way. She shared a black and white photo on her Instagram story accompanied by Ozzy's song Crazy Train, a simple yet loving and respectful tribute. There were no long speeches or public displays of emotion, only her characteristic silence and a clear message of love and respect for her father. Born in 1975, Louis John Osborne is Ozzy's eldest son with Thelma Riley and Jessica's biological brother. However, like his sister Louis, also rarely appears in public. Despite the Osborne name, Louis chose to live a private life away from the spotlight and his family's fame. He was just a toddler when Ozzy's life began to enter a chaotic period. In the late 70s, Ozzy was caught in a spiral of addiction, a fierce wave that pulled him away from his family, and ultimately, he was fired from the band Black Sabbath, a shock not only for Ozzy himself, but also for his family. The relationship between Louis and his father during that time could be described as quite distant, largely because Ozzy was struggling with his addiction and personal issues. Louis, like many of the Osborne children, had to grow up with his father's absence, especially during Ozzy's turbulent period. This made Louis's childhood different from that of other children surrounded by familial love. Instead of receiving his father's attention, Louis had to find ways to overcome life's difficulties, largely in seclusion from the showbiz world that Ozzy had built. The relationship between Louis and his father during his childhood was quite distant, mainly due to Ozzy's absence as he was engulfed in addiction. Later on, Ozzy admitted that he couldn't even remember when his son was born, a heartbreaking confession that reflected the heavy toll that years of drug and alcohol abuse had taken on him. Like many other children in the Osborne family, Louis grew up with the absence of a father, missing the essential bonding moments that only a father's presence can provide. It took many years and sobriety for Ozzy to begin repairing his relationship with his son and restore what had been lost in the past. Louis was raised in England with his mother after his parents' divorce. He had a peaceful childhood, completely separated from the fame and noise of the showbiz world that his father lived in. Despite the lack of Ozzy's presence in his early years, Louis found joy and tranquility within his family and life in England. However, as he grew older, he could not escape the influence of music. But rather than following in his father's footsteps with heavy rock music, Louis was drawn to the energetic electronic music scene in British clubs, forging his own musical path with sounds that were entirely different from what his father had created. Determined to pursue his own musical journey, Louis quickly established himself as a talented DJ and music producer in Birmingham, where he grew up. Fueled by a strong passion for music, he chose not to follow his father's rock legacy, but instead found his calling in electronic music. In 2009, he founded his own record label, Miha Recordings, focusing on releasing electronic music, especially energetic genres within the underground community. What sets Louis apart is his refusal to rely on Ozzy's fame to build his career. He is committed to creating his own unique style and image within the music industry. Although he maintains a low-profile lifestyle and stays away from fame, the name Osborne inevitably carries some influence in the music scene, particularly at club events in England and Ireland. This has sparked curiosity about Louis's relationship with Ozzy. The answer is clear: yes, he is Ozzy Osbourne's son, but instead of leveraging his father's name for success, Louis has chosen a completely independent and different path. He is steadily building his music career and writing his own story, free from the shadow of his family legacy. Louis has proven that he can succeed on his own talent and passion despite carrying the name of a rock legend. Regarding his personal life, Louis met his wife, Irish actress Louise Lennon, in 2002 at a ceremony honoring Ozzy on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Although they had just met, their love blossomed quickly, and just a year later in 2003, they married in an intimate ceremony in Ireland. While their wedding should have been a momentous occasion for the whole family, Ozzy ironically could not attend as he was recovering from a serious ATV accident. However, Louis expressed understanding and affection for his father, saying, "I just want him to get better." This statement not only reflected his concern, but also showed that despite the distance that once existed between them, the father-son bond had never changed. Currently, Louis and Louise live in Birmingham with their 2 young children, creating a peaceful family life, far from the noise of the entertainment industry and showbiz. They both value their privacy and have built a warm home for their children. Although Louis grew up in the shadow of a rock legend, he chose to live a simple life, not getting caught up in the glamour or public attention. The fact that Louis and Louise maintain a private and happy family life, along with caring for their children, is a testament to his growth over the years and shows that no matter how challenging life is, love and family are always a steadfast anchor. Fortunately, Ozzy recovered from the near-fatal accident, and from then on, his relationship with Louis began to mend. After this event, Ozzy and Louis gradually started overcoming the difficulties of the past. In many subsequent interviews, Louis has always spoken with great fondness and appreciation for his family, confirming that he maintains regular contact with his parents and siblings. Despite living in the UK, Louis always makes time to see his family whenever the Osbornes visit. These meetings, though simple, are incredibly important to Louis, as he clearly feels the closeness and love among his family members. Louis shared that on Sunday afternoons, Ozzy would often drop by his house for a friendly chat, enjoying the simple moments of family life. When his father was in England, Louis never missed the chance to take his children to visit their grandfather. With the perspective of a grown son, Louis proudly remarked, "Dad is a brilliant granddad." These words not only show their closeness, but also serve as proof of the transformation in their father-son relationship, from years of distance and tension to moments of loving connection within the family. Over time, as Ozzy grew calmer with age and sobriety, he gradually became a more reliable father and grandfather, especially for Louis and Jessica. The once fractured relationship between Ozzy and his children, strained through difficult years, began to heal. This transformation not only brought Ozzy closer to his children, but also made family moments more complete and meaningful. Louis and Ozzy, who had once been distant, were now able to rebuild the bonds of love that had been forgotten in the past. Their relationship was repaired and matured, creating a warm and connected family image. Although Louis never participated in the family's famous reality show, he shared a memorable television moment with his father. In 2009, Louis appeared alongside Ozzy on Ireland's talk show, The Late Late Show. This rare joint appearance demonstrated that Louis has always been an important part of the family's heart, even if MTV viewers rarely saw him. That moment was not just a simple TV appearance, but a testament to the changing father-son relationship where love and closeness replaced previous distance and estrangement. In July 2025, Louis flew to Los Angeles to attend Ozzy's final farewell performance with Black Sabbath, a legendary concert held just weeks before Ozzy passed away. The experience left a deep impression on Louis, who couldn't hold back his emotions. "I cried throughout the show," he shared. It was a profoundly emotional moment for Louis, witnessing his father, an icon etched in rock history, deliver the last performance of his career. Though Louis worried whether Ozzy could complete the show given his battle with Parkinson's disease once Ozzy began to sing, everyone realized one thing: he was still a legendary star, and nothing could diminish his power or influence. Louis recalled that despite his concerns about his father's health, when Ozzy started singing, both he and the audience knew this was the perfect farewell he deserved. "I just hoped it would be a complete goodbye," and it truly was, Louis wrote on Facebook, affirming how proud he felt of his father. That performance was not only a pinnacle rock concert, but also a deeply meaningful moment in Ozzy's final journey, allowing him to say goodbye to his fans and family in a way only a true legend could. The once-lost son now stood in the crowd, cheering for his father one last time. It was an emotional moment, closing a complex journey of fatherhood. A farewell, a tribute. Although Louis had endured a turbulent childhood lacking Ozzy's presence, he eventually found a way to heal their damaged father-son relationship. Ozzy's final performance with Black Sabbath was not just a grand farewell to music, but also a moment that marked a shift in Louis's feelings for his father, from distance to mutual understanding and respect. Today, Louis Osbourne is 50 years old, living in Birmingham with his family and continuing his music career. He is no longer a controversial name and is not involved in scandals or media noise. Louis chose a simple life with a passion for music and a happy family. Despite being the son of a rock legend, he lives life on his own terms, not letting his father's fame influence his personal path. As a middle-aged man, Louis continues to establish himself in the music field and is a dedicated father, always maintaining humility and love for his family. Born on September 2, 1983 in London, Amy Rachel is the eldest daughter of Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne. With a famous family and the reality TV show The Osbornes beginning to attract global attention in 2001, no one expected Amy to choose a completely different path. She was poised to be the next star in the television circus the Osbourne family had created, but Amy decided to refuse the spotlight. When filming for the show began, Amy was just 16 years old and immediately left home to escape the intrusion of the cameras. This decisive action from a teenager rejecting a future of fame was truly a courageous choice, demonstrating her maturity and determination to protect her personal privacy. Amy not only rejected fame, but also maintained a life completely separate from the noise of the media and her family. While other members of the Osbourne family participated in reality shows and public events, Amy chose to live quietly, staying away from cameras and public attention. This decision by Amy, though surprising, reflected a strong independent attitude and a desire to live a peaceful life, not defined by her family's fame. Sharon once admitted that she was heartbroken when Amy decided to leave home because she didn't want to be on the show The Osbournes. As a mother, Sharon felt disappointed and pained that she couldn't persuade her daughter to change her mind. However, Amy remained steadfast in her position, for her privacy and a normal life were more important than any fame that might come from being on the show. Amy chose a path unlike anyone else in her family. She decided to protect her personal space and freedom, even if it meant she wouldn't live in the limelight of the Osbourne family. With a rock legend for a father and a media mogul for a mother, maintaining privacy and separation was almost impossible. But Amy did what few could. She lived a separate life, refusing to be drawn into the vortex of fame. Later, looking back, Amy shared that if she had stayed and participated in the show, she would have easily become a target for public attacks and criticism. This was the main reason Amy was determined to reject fame to preserve peace and privacy in her life. She was still a teenager, still learning to understand herself, and did not want to go through that process in the public eye. Amy also stated that she wanted to protect her two younger siblings, Kelly and Jack, whom she believed were too young to handle the pressure of the media. As her family became a pop culture phenomenon, Amy quietly built her own life. During the era when the Osbornes was MTV's biggest hit show, many people didn't even know what she looked like. Amy was the name that made the public wonder, where is Ozzy's other daughter? True to her independent nature, Amy chose her own artistic path, not allowing herself to be overshadowed by her family's massive legacy. In 2003, she tried her hand at acting in MTV's modern adaptation of Wuthering Heights, where she played the role of Raquel. Although the role was short-lived, it was an experimental step in her career, affirming that Amy was not just the daughter of a rock legend, but also had the ability to be independent and explore different artistic fields. However, Amy quickly realized that music was where she truly belonged, the space where she could express her personality and passion freely and powerfully. Therefore, despite dabbling in acting, she decided to return to music where she felt she could shine the brightest. With the stage name ARO, a subtle acronym for her full name Amy Rachel Osborne, she began releasing songs in the synth pop and alternative rock genres. ARO's compositions not only showcased her musical talent, but also served as a powerful declaration of her independence. Amy chose to follow her own musical path completely distinct from her father's rock style. She did not rely on her family's fame, but built her music career on her own, creating a unique and personal style. ARO's synth pop and alternative rock tracks bear her personal stamp, proving that Amy could stand firm and succeed in the music industry without support from the Osborne name. She has carved out a distinct space for herself in the music industry where she can create freely and express herself without being bound by the expectations or the spotlight of her family. Let's spread the spirit of independence and creativity that Amy Osborne fiercely pursues, a unique sound that's unapologetically original and never a copy. Support ARO by hitting like, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with others. In 2015, ARO released her debut single, Raining Gold, a melancholic and profound track that expressed a part of Amy's inner thoughts. She shared that the song was inspired by the feelings of being misunderstood and isolated that she experienced growing up in the immense shadow of a rock legend. I wanted the song to evoke that feeling of being kind of lost and being mislabeled and then deciding to take control back, Amy said. The deep and meaningful lyrics of Raining Gold not only reflect an internal struggle, but are also Amy's way of asserting herself, not limited by her family's name. Despite being an Osborne, Amy's music is completely different from her famous father's. There are no screaming guitars or heavy rock melodies. Instead, there is a somber, dark atmosphere, reminiscent of bands like Florence Plus the Machine or Depeche Mode. Over the years, Amy has continued to release several singles and an album, gradually building her music career within the indie music community. She has slowly gained recognition for her haunting vocals and sophisticated songwriting, which is completely distinct from her father's shadow. Amy's music not only reflects her talent but also expresses her unique identity as an Osborne who refused to live under her family's expectations and instead wrote her own unique musical story. Gaining recognition in the indie community is a testament to Amy's effort and passion in building a solid music career, a journey filled with perseverance and pride. Amy's personal life was shaken in May 2022 by a terrifying event. While working at a recording studio in Hollywood, a massive fire suddenly broke out, engulfing the building in flames. In the midst of danger, Amy and her producer were lucky to escape death thanks to the help of another musician who guided them through the thick smoke. However, heartbreakingly, another person inside the building did not survive. This traumatic and unexpected incident thrust Amy's name into the headlines not for her musical achievements, but because of this tragic accident. The event served as a stark reminder that within the Osborne family, beyond the famous names, there is a quietly living daughter full of talent and resilience. After that shock, Amy recovered her spirit and continued her music career under the stage name ARO. Despite experiencing such a harrowing event, she refused to let it interrupt her passion and work. At 41 years old, Amy remains private and away from the family's spotlight, quietly building a solid artistic career. This is a remarkable feat, especially considering the overwhelming fame surrounding her family. Though carrying the Osborne bloodline, Amy has chosen to live on her own terms, refusing to let the family's fame define the path she has chosen. Born on October 27, 1984 in London, Kelly Osbourne is the second daughter of Ozzy and Sharon, and undoubtedly the most famous child in the Osborne family. When the Osbournes premiered in 2002, Kelly was only 17 years old, but she immediately captured the public's attention. With her rebellious purple hair, blunt personality, and sharp wit, Kelly quickly became a television sensation. Her natural, humorous presence on the show not only made audiences laugh out loud, but also highlighted the image of a strong, independent young woman, an entirely different model from the traditional celebrity daughter stereotype. Kelly never hesitated to express herself honestly, unapologetically, showing her strong-willed and rebellious nature. These qualities helped her become a beloved star, closely associated with the image of a rebellious teenager, and an indispensable part of the hit reality show, The Osbournes. Although she is the daughter of a rock legend, Kelly stepped into the spotlight on her own terms, making waves not only in the entertainment world, but also in the hearts of fans everywhere. Kelly Osbourne's cheeky humor eye rolls at her parents, and her effortlessly cool rock kid vibe quickly made her a favorite face of the early 2000s generation. She perfectly embodied the rebellious teenager stereotype, proudly carrying the label of the daughter of the Prince of Darkness. With her blunt personality and fearless antics, Kelly swiftly captured the hearts of audiences and became an icon of rebellion in the entertainment world. However, beneath that tough exterior lay a deeply personal and often turbulent journey few truly witnessed. Kelly grew up almost entirely in front of the cameras, with her private life continuously documented and exposed to the public eye. From heated arguments with her brother Jack to family upheavals, and her first steps into music, every moment was filmed, leaving no scene unseen. Though seen as a rebellious star, Kelly faced many personal struggles and challenges, none of which she ever had the chance to experience away from public scrutiny. Her story is not just one of defiance, but also a courageous battle with inner conflicts that she bravely overcame. In 2002, at the peak of the Osbournes' global phenomenon, Kelly released her debut album, Shut Up, featuring a pop-punk style. Her cover of Madonna's Papa Don't Preach landed her on the music charts and even gave her the chance to perform at the MTV Movie Awards, marking a notable highlight in her music career. Building on her early success, she released a second album in 2005. However, her singing career was relatively short-lived. Despite praise for her style and personality, Kelly openly admitted that singing was not her strongest suit. Later, she joked candidly, "I don't have the voice like my dad," showing both self-awareness and humility about her musical talents. Although Kelly's music career didn't last long, she still created memorable musical moments, especially her 2003 duet, Changes with Ozzy. This emotional ballad between father and daughter, the Prince of Darkness and his princess, sang of life's transformations and the ups and downs they both endured. The duet was a major hit in the UK, climbing the charts, and beloved not just for the vocals, but for the heartfelt connection between the two. While music wasn't Kelly's lifelong path, this moment remains one of the most cherished memories in her career, reflecting the special bond she shared with her father. In the late 2000s, Kelly Osbourne found her true calling, not in music, but in television and fashion. With a sharp wit and a candid communication style, a trait inherited from her mother, Sharon Kelly, quickly established herself as a host and commentator. Her confidence and strong personality attracted attention and helped her build a solid position in the entertainment industry. Kelly was unafraid to express herself clearly, becoming a beloved television personality for her frankness and humor. The most notable highlight of Kelly's television career was her role on the show Fashion Police from 2010 to 2015, where she candidly critiqued celebrity fashion. With her sharp and sometimes sarcastic commentary, Kelly not only made a mark in the fashion world, but also became a new pop culture icon. The combination of her fashion knowledge and television talent helped her maintain her prominence and attract a large fan base, creating a different Kelly Osbourne, no longer the rebellious daughter from the Osborne family, but a respected host with a distinctive style. Her bold fashion sense, constantly changing hair, unique style, and outspoken personality made Kelly Osbourne a familiar face on television. She not only made a strong impression on the Osbournes, but also expanded her career into many other fields. Kelly skillfully transformed the fame from the hit reality show into a diverse career spanning music, television, and fashion. She continuously appeared as a judge and MC on major shows like Project Runway Jr., Australia's Got Talent, and The View, making her mark with a sharp tongue and engaging hosting style. Kelly's versatility and talent helped her maintain her position in the entertainment industry while asserting her influence beyond her rebellious teenage years. One of the most significant milestones in Kelly's television career was her participation in Dancing with the Stars in 2009. No one expected that the rebellious punk princess of yesterday could shine in a dance competition. Kelly stunned the audience by showcasing her graceful and refined dance skills, making it to the finals and securing third place. This was an impressive transformation. From a rebellious girl with purple hair and playful antics on a reality show, Kelly proved her ability to transcend the daughter of Ozzy image and establish herself as a multi-talented star who could shine in various fields. That success not only changed the public image of Kelly, but also affirmed her versatility and ambitious spirit. In 2019, Kelly surprised audiences again by participating in The Masked Singer, performing as Ladybug, a mysterious yet captivating character. She even once had her own fashion line and appeared in a few guest roles in films. Behind the spotlight, Kelly faced many internal struggles, especially with addiction and insecurity about her appearance. She revealed that her addiction journey began at age 13 after undergoing tonsil surgery and being prescribed the painkiller Vicodin. Gradually, she fell into drug abuse, something that was somewhat documented in the Osbornes show. At 19, she first entered rehab. Over many years, Kelly persevered in fighting this illness and openly shared about her relapse in 2021 after 4 years of sobriety. "Addiction is something I always have to fight," she said candidly. Another battle Kelly faced was the harsh criticism from the public regarding her appearance and weight. Growing up in front of the camera, she was often the target of cruel comments, but she overcame it. Kelly lost more than 38 kilograms through lifestyle changes and gastric surgery, and she has been vocal in fighting against body-shaming culture. Kelly Osbourne's life turned a new page in 2022 when she publicly confirmed her relationship with Sid Wilson, the masked DJ of the famous metal band Slipknot. Their relationship was not a surprise event, but the result of over 2 decades of friendship and building a close bond. Kelly and Sid first met when Kelly was just a teenager during the Ozfest tour in the late 90s, when both were quite young and no one expected they would become so closely connected. This friendship developed over time, and finally, after 23 years, their love blossomed, surprising and impressing fans alike. The love story between Kelly and Sid is a testament to patience and the affection that grows from long-term relationships. Although both are famous stars in the music world, they chose to keep their personal lives private and did not rush to reveal their relationship publicly. Their announcement in 2022 marked not only a turning point in Kelly's romantic life, but also an important milestone in her personal growth journey. Their love is not just a romantic story, but also a connection between two people who have supported and understood each other through life's ups and downs. In 2022, Kelly Osbourne announced she was expecting her first child, a baby boy named Sydney, after her father Ozzy. However, the announcement did not go as planned when Ozzy accidentally revealed the baby's gender before Kelly had the chance to share the news. Although slightly annoyed that her father accidentally spoiled the surprise, Kelly took the situation with her usual humor. Even Sharon, her mother, couldn't avoid accidentally revealing the pregnancy news, causing Kelly to gently tease her mom for ruining the dramatic reveal she had prepared. Still, these humorous moments only made the family warmer and closer. Baby Sydney was born in early 2023, bringing overwhelming joy to the entire Osbourne family. Kelly, with the pride and happiness of a mother, welcomed her son as a wonderful gift. And then, as if destined, in July 2025, during Ozzy's final concert with Black Sabbath, something magical happened. Sid Wilson, Kelly's longtime boyfriend, proposed to her right on stage in front of Ozzy and thousands of fans. It was a deeply emotional and meaningful moment as Sid and Kelly officially entered a new chapter of their lives, witnessed by family and fans. Ozzy playfully interrupted the moment with a humorous remark. "Get away from her. You can't marry my daughter," instantly lightening the mood. He then burst into laughter and gave his blessing to the couple before him, affirming his family's love, albeit mixed with a bit of mischief. The scene was vividly captured. Kelly covering her face in embarrassment, Sid kneeling to propose, and the entire stage erupting in cheers and non-stop applause. Those moments seemed to mark a turning point in their lives where love and joy were expressed fully and genuinely. That moment was so wild and perfect, Kelly later shared, as a way to emphasize the natural beauty and intensity of that significant minute. The rebellious girl of yesterday, with her strong and passionate personality, had now become a happy mother and a resilient woman. Her heart never stopped fighting, never stopped loving, and never stopped maturing through life's challenges. This transformation was not just a personal journey, but also a testament to the inner strength and sincere love that Kelly has always cherished. Not only does she frequently appear on red carpets and in prestigious fashion magazines, but Kelly is also very active in sharing stories about mental health, body positivity, and her journey of overcoming past stumbles. Indeed, she has faced numerous difficulties and scandals, from noisy public disputes to arduous battles with addiction. However, instead of surrendering, Kelly faced it all head-on, turning those challenges into motivation to grow and develop herself. It is thanks to this resilience that she has proven the value of a woman who never stops striving and rising in life. Jack Joseph Osborne, born on November 8, 1985, is the youngest child in the Osborne family. When he first appeared on The Osbornes, Jack was just 16 years old, with a round face, curly, messy hair, and a mischievous personality. As the youngest, he was often the victim of pranks from Ozzy and received lots of pampering from his mother. However, Jack's journey is one of the most remarkable transformations in the family. From a lost, addicted teenager, he became a man of action, a television producer, extreme sports athlete, father of 3, and someone who has been sober for over 18 years. Jack's childhood was split between two countries, the UK and the US, creating a challenging journey marked by profound cultural shifts. When the family moved to California when he was 11, Jack entered a turbulent adolescence where conflicting values and lifestyles overlapped. On television, Jack was portrayed as a rebellious kid in the heart of Hollywood, frequently partying, skipping school, and arguing with his parents. But beneath those glamorous moments was a boy gradually sinking into the darkness of addiction, struggling alone with loneliness and despair that few could see. At 17, Jack's life took a harsh turn when he was sent to rehab for addiction to the painkiller oxycodone and other stimulants. This event was widely publicized, shocking and saddening audiences across America, who witnessed the image of a humorous, happy boy fighting his inner demons. Jack openly shared, "I didn't want substances to control my life." With this determination, he began a serious recovery journey, gradually reclaiming his life and hope for a brighter future. From 2005 to 2009, Jack brought these experiences to television through the show Adrenaline Junkie, documenting his inspiring journey conquering extreme sports challenges. Alongside his career as an extreme athlete, Jack expanded into producing reality TV shows and paranormal-themed programs, a field he has a special passion for. One significant milestone in Jack's production career was the 2012 documentary God Bless Ozzy Osbourne, a heartfelt tribute to his rebellious but loving father. Through this, he not only expressed respect for his family, but also affirmed his own maturity and strength on his artistic path. From 2016 to 2018, Jack had the opportunity to join his father in the show Ozzy and Jack's World Detour on the History Channel, a special journey where the father-son duo explored famous historical sites around the world. From the mystery of Stonehenge to the thrilling stories of Roswell, the program not only provided audiences with interesting historical perspectives, but was also a rare chance for fans to witness the deep bond between two generations of the Osborne family. Through each trip, Jack and Ozzy not only shared experiences but also revealed their sincere family affection and mutual understanding, creating a warm and intimate image rarely seen from a famous family. In parallel with participating in the show with his father, Jack also made significant strides in his own career by establishing the company Osborne Media with his sister Amy. The company specializes in producing shows about supernatural phenomena, a field Jack has long been passionate about. In 2019, he began hosting the show Portals to Hell on the Travel Channel, a ghost hunting program that attracted a large audience of mystery and paranormal enthusiasts. From a rebellious boy, Jack Osborne transformed himself into a man who controls his life with reason and passion. His story is a vivid testament that even if you are born into chaos, you can completely overcome it and build a fulfilling life, not letting the past define you. Audiences followed Jack as he explored haunted locations with Katrina Weidman on Portals to Hell, where he attempted to gather evidence of supernatural phenomena. With genuine curiosity and a humorous personality, Jack turned the mysterious into a true entertainment experience. He even invited his parents to join in on the spooky fun. In 2020, Jack created the show The Osbornes Want to Believe, where he showed videos of supernatural phenomena to observe Ozzy and Sharon's reactions. Ozzy humorously admitted, "We've become skeptics." Some videos made the father and son burst out laughing at their sheer absurdity, but there were also moments that left them completely bewildered and unable to explain what they saw. The sight of the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, watching ghost videos with his son was top-tier wholesome content that melted fans' hearts. Although Jack was very busy and dedicated to his television career, he still made time to build and nurture his own small family. In October 2012, Jack married actress Lisa Stelly in a simple yet meaningful wedding ceremony in Hawaii. However, life is not always smooth. Just 3 weeks after their first daughter was born, Jack received shocking news he had multiple sclerosis, MS, a complex autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system, causing many difficulties in daily life and health. This news not only changed Jack's life, but also presented new challenges, forcing him to face the illness with willpower and resilience. However, with a strong spirit and support from his family, Jack continued on his path, not letting the disease hinder his dreams and love for life. Jack and his then-wife Lisa had 3 lovely daughters born in 2012, 2015, and 2018, named Pearl Clementine Andy Rose and Minnie Theodora, respectively. Their small family was always filled with laughter and warmth, helping to calm the storms Jack had endured. Sharon, Jack's mother, couldn't hide her joy at becoming a grandmother, and once cheerfully declared she would be the grandmother from hell, implying she would spoil and love her grandchildren to the fullest while still retaining the Osborne family's strong personality and distinct style. The moments of Ozzy cuddling his grandchildren, widely shared on social media, warmed the hearts of many fans. The image of a gentle, devoted grandfather with the next generation of the famous family somewhat softened the noisy stories of the past. Through this, people saw the sincere affection and tight bond among the Osborne family members, creating a family picture that was both traditional and unique, full of life and love. As of 2025, Ozzy Osbourne has become a grandfather to a total of 10 grandchildren. A truly unbelievable fact when looking back at the turbulent journey of the man once known as the Prince of Darkness. These grandchildren are clear proof of a warm, loving side of Ozzy's life, a stark contrast to his former rebellious and edgy image. Meanwhile, Jack and Ari also quietly held their wedding in 2023, publicly sharing their happiness with fans through a sweet Instagram post. This event marked a new stage of maturity in Jack's life and demonstrated the strong love between the two. Though he still retains the mischievous spirit of the Osborne family, you can still catch him cracking jokes on a podcast or laughing out loud during a ghost hunt. Jack now carries with him a very different kind of calm. Many still believe he's the most clear-headed of Ozzy's children, and perhaps that's absolutely true. And so we say goodbye, not just to a rock legend, but to a soul that once screamed through pain, lived life without compromise, and gave everything to those who had ever felt lost. Because Ozzy's legacy isn't just about the chaos and controversies, it's proof that even the most broken souls can make the world shine brighter than when they arrived. If Ozzy's music ever touched your heart, don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 or 0 if you feel differently. Let's preserve and pass on this precious legacy to future generations. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on more powerful stories and timeless music from legends like Ozzy Osbourne, the father of heavy metal and the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at the age of 76. In the world of rock music, few names have had as much influence as Ozzy. He wasn't just a musical icon, but a legend beloved and respected worldwide. However, in the final weeks of Ozzy's life, things were not as we might imagine for such a star. During that time, the man known as the Prince of Darkness was no longer concerned with fame or notoriety. Instead, Ozzy's mind was focused on one deeply personal thing, a final wish that only his wife Sharon could help fulfill. This wasn't just any wish, but a special one so important that it shaped his final days and gave him a sense of peace. If Ozzy Osbourne's legacy has ever touched you, made you laugh, reflect, or inspired, you show your gratitude by hitting like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next fascinating stories. Leave a comment with a 1 if you resonate with Ozzy Osbourne, or a 0 if you feel differently. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this touching story and discover what brought Ozzy peace in the final moments of his life. Weeks later, Ozzy Osbourne passed away, leaving behind a monumental musical legacy, a life of chaos, and a farewell that broke the world's heart. With his death, the final curtain fell on the life of a legend. Ozzy Osbourne's final months were marked by a quiet awareness of the fleeting nature of time. After decades of living with Parkinson's disease, Ozzy's health had noticeably declined, and he began to realize his remaining time was short. But through it all, Sharon Osbourne, who had been by his side through the most turbulent years, was always the first to recognize the gravity of her husband's condition. She was not just his wife, but his friend and singular support system, facing with him the difficult days that not everyone saw. Sharon understood what was happening and did everything she could to ensure Ozzy had the most peaceful moments possible in his final days. The final chapter of Ozzy Osbourne was a story not just of loss, but a testament to Sharon's efforts to preserve the beautiful memories they had built together. She not only faced the pain of watching her partner weaken, but also became the one to ensure Ozzy's wishes were fulfilled. Sharon demonstrated her resilience and unconditional love as she stood by Ozzy's side, navigating the arduous days while preparing for the farewell they both knew was coming. Although Ozzy no longer had the strength to do the things he loved, his final moments were lived to the fullest, surrounded by loved ones and enveloped in Sharon's affection. The final chapter of Ozzy Osbourne was not merely the end of a great life, but an affirmation of the love, sacrifice, and musical legacy he left behind. Parkinson's is an uncontrollably progressive disease, and it affected many parts of Ozzy's body, particularly his legs, as Sharon had shared in a previous interview. Although Ozzy's health situation was clear, and everyone knew his condition would not improve, witnessing someone who once had such a powerful stage presence become so frail was still incredibly difficult. What was remarkable, however, was that even as his body weakened, Ozzy maintained his mental strength. Those closest to him described him as an intelligent man who never lost his sense of humor, always making those around him feel close and warm despite his health. He continued to tell jokes and make witty remarks, putting those beside him at ease, even as everything around them grew more difficult. Despite his weakened body, Ozzy's voice, the very thing that made him a music legend, remained untouched by the cruel disease. Fans who had admired Ozzy for years described his voice as still ringing with its characteristic resilience and power, a testament to the incredible talent he had shared with fans for decades. Though his physical self was not what it once was, that voice remained as captivating, powerful, and emotional as ever, leaving fans enthralled and ensuring he would never be forgotten. This was the clearest proof of the immortal musical talent and legacy of Ozzy Osbourne, a legend who will live forever in the hearts of music lovers, transcending all challenges of time. It was a strange dichotomy, a man physically weakened yet emotionally and spiritually sustained by something greater than himself. Even as his body succumbed to Parkinson's, Ozzy found an inner strength to face the final challenges of his life. Family members noticed a shift in his perspective during his final weeks. Ozzy became quieter and more reflective, as if each passing day was a journey into his past. His conversations with Sharon centered mainly on memories of his past, the wild days with Black Sabbath, a hugely successful solo career, and a family life filled with ups and downs, but also immense love. If anyone had a wild life to look back on, it was Ozzy Osbourne. As he faced his limited time, he spent much of it reflecting on what had been, while also speaking of the future, or more precisely, the few months he had left. Sharon had hinted at those conversations, sharing that Ozzy had confided in her about incredibly important things he needed to accomplish before he could truly let go. These words were not just a reflection of his final desires, but the signs of a man who wanted to end his life with a sense of completion and peace. Whatever it was, Sharon affirmed she had made it her mission to ensure it would happen. For Sharon, it was more than just caregiving. It was a spiritual commitment to fulfill Ozzy's final wishes so he could pass on with peace of mind. In those final weeks, Sharon was not just a loving wife, but also his supporter in every moment, protecting the legacy Ozzy had built throughout his life. It wasn't a superficial request, but a deeply private final wish, a desire that Sharon would carry on her shoulders as his wife, partner, and manager. This wish was no small thing, but a heavy responsibility, a plea that Sharon committed to fulfilling with all her love and dedication. For the fans, the news of Ozzy's passing on July 22nd was a massive shock, marking the end of a music legend. However, for those closest to him, it was not just sadness, but a bittersweet comfort. Ozzy didn't just silently leave this world. He departed with intention on his own terms, not a quiet fading away, but a complete ending, having accomplished what he set out to do. In his final moments, Sharon was always by his side, ensuring that Ozzy's last days were lived exactly as he wished. With resilience and boundless love, Sharon was not just a devoted wife, but the sole companion who helped Ozzy fulfill his final wish. Ozzy's final days were a combination of love and protection, of fulfilling his desires and preparing for his departure. And when Ozzy passed away, it wasn't a meaningless end, but a departure that was meaningful, full, and complete, just as he had chosen. Ozzy Osbourne's final wish was heartbreaking, but it was carried out in true Ozzy style, with the determination and respect for everything he had built throughout his life. And the woman who had been by his side for over 40 years, Sharon Osbourne, helped make that a reality. The Osbournes' relationship was more than just a marriage. It was an enduring partnership that had weathered every public scandal, personal dispute, and the relentless pressure of global fame. Sharon was not only his wife, but also his companion manager and the person who always stood by Ozzy in every crucial moment of his life, especially as he faced the greatest challenges in his final years. Through the ups and downs of their careers and personal lives, Sharon has shown unconditional love and devotion. They have faced many difficult times together, from struggles with addiction to the turbulent phases of Ozzy's career. But it is precisely during these moments that their love has risen stronger, becoming a testament to a relationship built on perseverance, understanding, and mutual respect. The bond of the Osborne family is a perfect example of how to overcome life's challenges with each trial, only strengthening the love and understanding between them. Sharon is not only Ozzy's wife, but she is also his manager soulmate, and in many ways, the one who has kept him grounded during tough times. Her connection with Ozzy is not just based on love, but also on unwavering support and loyalty. The couple first met in the late 1970s when Sharon's father, Don Ardon, was managing the band Black Sabbath. Sharon, a strong, intelligent, and charismatic woman, immediately formed a special connection with Ozzy. Their relationship began not only with romance, but with deep understanding and empathy. Sharon was not just a devoted wife, but also the person who helped Ozzy face the challenges in his career, particularly during the difficult years when he battled addiction and personal issues. In 1982, Sharon and Ozzy officially married, marking a significant milestone in their lives. This relationship, despite enduring countless trials and challenges, has remained strong and only grown more powerful over time. Their relationship has become one of the iconic symbols of love in the rock music world, with continuous commitment and sacrifice. Together, they have overcome all obstacles, from Ozzy's career crises to personal challenges. This bond has become their source of strength, helping them stand firm against the pressures of global fame and the complexities of rock star life. Sharon and Ozzy's relationship is not just a famous marriage, but also a testament to enduring love and commitment through all circumstances, regardless of the difficulties they faced. Throughout his struggles with addiction challenges that were fully documented in Ozzy's career, Sharon remained by his side as a companion and a steady source of support, ensuring that Ozzy's career and life didn't completely fall apart. During the most difficult years, when Ozzy was battling personal issues and addiction, Sharon was the one person who stood unwaveringly by him. Even in the darkest times, she remained steadfast, patiently supporting and encouraging Ozzy to overcome those harsh challenges. She was not just a wife beside him, but also the one who helped Ozzy maintain his career and strength, preventing him from falling into the depths that many other stars had not been able to escape from. In the decades that followed, Sharon became not only a devoted wife, but also a public figure in her own right. From managing Ozzy's solo career to collaborating on the MTV reality show, The Osbornes, Sharon was involved in every aspect of Ozzy's professional and personal life. The show gave a true and candid look at the Osborne family, and Sharon proved her resilience by crafting an image of a family that was not only humorous, but also deeply warm in the eyes of their fans. She didn't just manage the career, but also protected the family's private moments, ensuring that despite the noisy world outside, they maintained their bond and love. The Osbornes brought the family a new wave of fans, those who might not have been Ozzy's music fans, but were drawn to his relatable humor and the chaotic charm of each episode. The show offered more than just funny moments from Ozzy's family life. It gave audiences a completely different side of him, an Ozzy who was approachable with vulnerabilities and thoughts just like anyone else. The relationship between Ozzy and Sharon, along with their children, became a highlight of the show, showcasing how the family navigated challenges with empathy, love, and plenty of laughs. While not everyone loved Ozzy's music, the Osbournes helped him win the hearts of a much broader audience, those who found themselves reflected in the chaotic yet touching moments of this family. However, that bond grew even more profound as Ozzy's health declined. In 2003, Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, an illness he kept private for many years until 2020. It was a tremendous challenge, not only for Ozzy, but for his family as well. Throughout those years, Ozzy faced countless difficulties, from physical pain to the struggle of accepting an unchangeable reality. Despite being a powerful man and an icon of strength on stage, Ozzy had to endure the changes in his body and mind, with Sharon and his family serving as his greatest source of encouragement to continue fighting the disease. Sharon, who publicly shared the hardships of witnessing the disease's progression, shouldered much of the emotional and logistical burden during those difficult years. She was not just a devoted wife, but also a steadfast pillar of strength, always there for Ozzy when he needed her most. Sharon was the first to realize that their days on the road, the vibrant tours, and the special moments on stage were over forever. After a long journey of overcoming every challenge together, Sharon understood that their lives needed to change. "I've been doing this since I was 15, and now I'm done. We just want to live our lives, do what we want to do, and not be on a schedule anymore," she shared in an interview with Billboard before Ozzy's passing. Sharon had hinted in interviews that Ozzy had shared with her something incredibly important he wanted to do before he passed away. Although she kept the details private, it was clear she was determined to fulfill Ozzy's final wish, ensuring his desires would be accomplished even in his last days. Ozzy's final weeks were not just a preparation for farewell, but a combination of ensuring his family had precious moments with him and protecting the legacy he had built throughout his life. Sharon did everything to keep the family close so that Ozzy could pass away in peace, knowing his memories and legacy would be remembered forever. The legacy of the Prince of Darkness born John Michael Osborne on December 3, 1948 in Aston, Birmingham, is a captivating story of a powerful ascent and a revolution in music. From a poor working-class family, Ozzy Osbourne overcame countless challenges to become a global superstar, helping to change the face of rock music forever. His journey is not just a story of personal success, but also a symbol of strength and perseverance in the arts. In 1968, Ozzy, along with the members of Black Sabbath, founded a new musical genre, heavy metal, delivering heavy, dark riffs and haunting lyrics. This marked the beginning of a revolution in the music scene, as Black Sabbath laid the foundation for a genre that would later flourish and profoundly influence many generations of artists. Black Sabbath's debut album, released in 1970, featured legendary songs like Paranoid, Iron Man, and War Pigs. These tracks not only changed the landscape of rock music, but also established Black Sabbath as a leading name in the industry. Their music, with its powerful melodies and profound lyrics, reflected the conflicts, anxieties, and instability of the era, making them indispensable icons in rock culture. Songs like Paranoid became essential staples in the musical catalog of later generations, and Ozzy Osbourne, with his mesmerizing voice and distinctive performance style, truly became the icon of a new musical genre and a legend in the hearts of fans worldwide. With an impressive solo career and classic songs like Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne proved himself to be one of the greatest rock vocalists in music history. Crazy Train, with its signature guitar riffs and Ozzy's powerful vocals, not only became a timeless anthem in the world of rock, but also a symbol of his resilience and limitless talent. However, Ozzy's success didn't stop at music. With the MTV show The Osbournes, Ozzy reached a new audience, expanding his influence and establishing his family as a cultural icon. The show not only allowed the public to see a different side of Ozzy, approachable and humorous, but also highlighted his special relationship with Sharon and their children, making the Osbourne family an indispensable part of global pop culture. Despite receiving countless accolades throughout his career, including being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Ozzy Osbourne will forever remain one of the greatest legends in music history. His musical legacy is not only contained within his songs and albums, but also in the profound influence he has left on future generations of musicians. Every time he steps on stage, every time his voice rings out, Ozzy reaffirms himself as an immortal icon, a rock legend that no one can replace. For this, he needed Sharon's help. There was only one city that could give Ozzy the fitting farewell he deserved: Birmingham, the place where he grew up, and where his life changed forever. This city was preparing for a proper goodbye. For Ozzy Osbourne, Birmingham was not just his birthplace, but an integral part of his identity. This industrial city, the birthplace of Black Sabbath, had long been regarded as the home of metal music, and no one embodied that title more than its most famous son. For Ozzy, this was not only the starting point, but an inseparable part of his life story, where his music and the tales of his transformation began to spread worldwide. In the months leading up to July 2025, Birmingham transformed to honor Black Sabbath and their legendary frontman, Ozzy Osbourne. The local government announced the Summer of Sabbath event, a citywide celebration to recognize Black Sabbath's undeniable impact on music and global culture. This event was a profound tribute from the city to one of the greatest bands of all time. Art installations, concerts, and inaugurations were held, all focused on the contributions Black Sabbath and especially Ozzy Osbourne had made. The city bestowed its highest honors to acknowledge what the band had given to Birmingham, while also solidifying their place in the annals of world music history. Among these honors, the 4 original members of Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, were given the freedom of the city of Birmingham, a city that has become an inseparable part of their musical journey. To celebrate their careers, the city renamed a bridge in the band's honor, a lasting symbol of the impact they left behind. Additionally, a commemorative bench was unveiled, and most notably, a massive mural of Ozzy Osbourne was painted at the end of Villa Park Stadium. This is the place where not only football fans but also heavy metal lovers gathered to be part of an unforgettable night. That night was not just an event to remember Ozzy and Black Sabbath, but also an opportunity for the city of Birmingham to take pride in the musical legacy the band had brought to the world. This return was not just a musical event, it was an emotional reunion. The event became a special and unforgettable experience for fans from all over. A fan from the US couldn't hide their excitement when they shared meeting Ozzy at his hometown was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Comments like these highlight how extraordinary this concert was, as it wasn't just about the music, it was also about the connection between the artist and the fans, a deep bond built over many years. You can feel the history in the air. This wasn't just a fan's words, but a shared sentiment from everyone present at this historic event. Even those who had followed Ozzy's career from afar could sense that something special was happening, an event marked by both the past and the future. International media quickly recognized the unique scale of this event. With a star-studded lineup featuring some of the biggest names in rock and metal, a stadium packed with 40,000 passionate fans, and an estimated live audience pushing the total viewership to millions, this concert was undoubtedly an event with undeniable global influence. Even before Ozzy passed away, tributes had already begun to resonate, partly because of his indelible achievements, and partly because of his importance in shaping the rock and metal scenes. Ozzy's image, not just as an artist but as an icon, had become a guiding torch for future generations. His peers, who had journeyed with him through many ups and downs, could not hide their sorrow at his passing. Tributes came not only from close friends, but also from major names in the industry who had been inspired by Ozzy's music and lifestyle. Without a doubt, the legend of Ozzy Osbourne will live on forever in the minds of those who love music. Musicians, collaborators, and figures throughout the music industry were well aware of the immense influence Ozzy Osbourne had built over his career. His career had spanned glorious decades, and now his time on stage and on Earth was coming to a close. A powerful sense of loss spread through the music community as they realized a true legend was about to depart. Ozzy was not just an outstanding artist, but an icon who had transformed both the rock and metal landscapes, a man of immeasurable influence. Sir Elton John, one of Ozzy's close friends, was among the first to publicly express his feelings after his passing. In his tribute, Elton John did not hide his emotion. He was a dear friend and a great pioneer who cemented his place in the pantheon of rock gods, a true legend. These words not only showed admiration, but also acknowledged the legendary status Ozzy had achieved in the music industry. His passing is a great loss not just for his family and friends, but for the entire musical culture he helped build. What are your thoughts on the legendary legacy of Ozzy Osbourne and the impact he has had on the rock music world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring stories about the legends who changed the world. He was also one of the funniest people I have ever met. I will miss him dearly. These words from Sir Rod Stewart were not just an expression of loss from a close friend, but also a show of deep respect for Ozzy Osbourne. For those who had followed and worked with Ozzy, he was not only a music legend, but also an approachable person full of laughter. Rod Stewart, a longtime companion in the music industry, shared his feelings with a moving farewell. "Farewell, Ozzy. Sleep well, my friend. See you on the other side." These words were not just a tribute, but an expression of the boundless sorrow of a friend parting with a companion of many years. The sense of loss wasn't limited to Rod Stewart. Many other artists from various musical genres acknowledged Ozzy's profound impact on their careers. One of them was Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, who described Ozzy as a true legend of Birmingham, not just in music, but in shaping and defining the city's musical culture. Ronnie Wood praised Ozzy's ability to create and influence the culture we witness today. This praise was not just a recognition of Ozzy's great musical talent, but also a reflection of the deep respect for his immense contributions to building the cultural and musical foundation for future generations. Ozzy left an indelible mark not only in the hearts of music lovers, but also among his colleagues and close friends. Metallica, one of the bands that performed at the Villa Park concert, honored Ozzy Osbourne in a way that was simple, yet touched the hearts of millions of fans. A photo of the band with Ozzy accompanied by a broken heart emoji was a symbol of their sorrow and deep respect for a legend. Though it was just a simple post, this tribute not only expressed admiration, but also reflected a deep understanding of Ozzy's influence on rock and metal. Metallica, one of the titans of the genre, used an image and a symbol to recognize a pioneer who changed the face of an entire category of music and left an unforgettable legacy. Ozzy Osbourne, with his monumental contributions, was not just a big name, but a living icon of rock music. For more than 5 decades, he relentlessly created and dedicated himself, helping to build and develop a genre with global influence. The tributes from Metallica and other artists are an affirmation of Ozzy's pioneering status in the music industry, a man whose influence and value will continue to live on in the hearts of fans and future generations of artists. Though he is gone, what he left behind in music and culture will endure forever. Ozzy Osbourne's collaborations spanned generations, from classic rock icons to modern metal bands, and his influence was not limited to music, but extended into the broader culture. Every generation of artists carries Ozzy's mark, that of a pioneer who changed how we understand rock and metal. His final weeks were not just a time for fans and the music community to share their grief, but also a clear realization that they were witnessing the end of a great chapter in music history. The music industry, though in mourning, could not deny the invaluable contribution that Ozzy had made. In interviews, Sharon hinted that Ozzy had shared something incredibly private with her, a request she promised to fulfill. "He wanted me to do something for him that only I could do," she said, though she did not reveal further details. These words highlight the significance of Sharon's role during Ozzy's final weeks. Sharon was not only his caregiver, but also the one entrusted with carrying out his final wishes, someone who understood the deep importance of what Ozzy had asked of her. Friends and family later recounted that Sharon Osbourne remained intensely focused during this time, mobilizing every resource and quietly working behind the scenes to ensure that Ozzy's wishes were fulfilled. Despite the heart-wrenching circumstances, Sharon remained resilient, dedicated to caring for Ozzy, not only physically but also emotionally, ensuring that his every wish was carried out in full. Her sacrifice and devotion in these final days demonstrated that the love and bond they shared were not just between two people, but a unified family filled with love and deep understanding. In the final days of Ozzy's life, the Osbourne family gathered around their father. Their children, Kelly, Jack, Amy, and Ozzy's 2 older children, Jessica and Louie, visited frequently, understanding the significance of these final moments. These were sacred moments where the entire family came together to share love and closeness, cherishing every precious second spent with each other. Ozzy, who had once opened the door to his chaotic family life through the Osbournes, now experienced a quieter, more private family life, far from the public eye. His last days were not just about a simple life, but a special time where the family expressed unconditional love and deep respect for the man they cherished. Publicly, very few people knew what was happening behind closed doors. All eyes saw was an Ozzy whose health had significantly weakened, a man who had faced many challenges in his final days. However, what the world didn't see were the quiet preparations, the deeply emotional private conversations, and the burden Sharon had to bear as she prepared for what would become the decisive turning point in the final chapter of Ozzy's life. This was not a story about fame, money, or headlines. It wasn't what the media or the public was looking for. In truth, this was a story of love, sacrifice, and a profound preparation for the departure of the man she loved. The way Ozzy left this world remained true to the person he always was, resilient, strong, and full of character. Sharon understood this better than anyone because she was the one who accompanied Ozzy through every difficult moment. Ozzy did not want to become the man with Parkinson's. He didn't want his image to be that of Ozzy in a wheelchair, weak and frail. For his final act, Ozzy wished only to live and to leave as the Prince of Darkness, a symbol of strength and an indomitable spirit, not an image of decline in the face of illness. This prayer was not just a wish, but something Ozzy wanted to engrave in the memories of his fans and loved ones. Although Sharon kept the details of Ozzy's final wish private, she did not hesitate to make it clear that she would stop at nothing to ensure his wish became a reality. Sharon pledged that she would do everything possible for Ozzy to pass away with the dignity he deserved, not as a weakened man, but as a legend who stood tall, free, and powerful until the very end. This not only showed the deep love Sharon had for Ozzy, but also served as an affirmation that sometimes the ultimate respect for a loved one lies not just in physical care, but in honoring the wishes and dignity they built throughout their lives. In a heartbreaking revelation, Ozzy Osbourne's final wish was not to quietly retreat from the public eye, but to return to where everything began, Birmingham, for one last performance. A truly profound wish. It was not just to show his love for music, but also a desire to reconnect with his roots, with the place that nurtured and shaped him. Sharon, his wife, who had been by his side throughout the journey, revealed that Ozzy's greatest desire in his final weeks was to stand on stage in his hometown one last time. This wish was not just to honor his career, but to make a final connection with his close friends, loyal fans, and all those who had supported him throughout his life. Surrounded by his bandmates and the fans who had shaped his career, Ozzy longed to feel their warmth and love in this final moment. This was not just a concert. It was a celebration of everything Ozzy had contributed to music and to the rock community. Sharon knew that fulfilling this wish was no easy task, but she understood that this was the way Ozzy wanted to close this chapter of his life, an ending full of meaning, completeness, and authenticity to the person he was. On July 5, 2025, Ozzy Osbourne's final wish became a reality. Sharon organized a concert titled Back to the Beginning at Villa Park, turning the home stadium of Aston Villa Football Club into a sacred place for heavy metal music. The concert was not only an opportunity to honor Ozzy's illustrious career, but also a special moment reuniting Ozzy with his Black Sabbath bandmates, Tony Iommi Geezer Butler and Bill Ward, for the first time in 20 years. This was not just a reunion after a long period of separation, but also an emotional farewell, a final song from the men who had shaped rock music history. The event on July 5th at Villa Park, later recognized as Ozzy's final performance, ignited waves of admiration from all corners of the music world. 40,000 fans packed Villa Park to witness this moment, with millions more watching via live streams. It was a concert of unimaginable influence, creating a legendary moment many described as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. With each note, each lyric, Ozzy and his bandmates recreated a monumental chapter of rock music, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slayer, and Anthrax all took the stage as supporting artists, expressing their deep respect for Ozzy Osbourne, the man who helped shape the heavy metal genre. These legendary bands were not only industry friends, but also individuals who had been profoundly influenced by Ozzy's monumental career. Together, they created an emotionally charged musical atmosphere where each note and melody reflected their respect for the man who had had such a broad influence on them. The only place we could do this is Aston, because that's where Ozzy was born and raised, Sharon shared. Her words were not just an introduction to the venue, but also an affirmation of Ozzy's deep love and connection to his hometown. Sharon also revealed that from the moment she began planning the concert, she had thought of inviting all the bands Ozzy had ever collaborated with to perform so they could sing the famous songs of Black Sabbath and Ozzy's own musical works. It became a music festival, Sharon said, showing the importance of this performance not only to Ozzy, but to the entire metal-loving community. This event was more than a concert. It was a celebration of music history where artists came together in a vibrant festival to remember and affirm the legacy of a legend. When Ozzy appeared seated on a black throne in the center of the stage, the roar from the crowd was deafening. For many, that image was truly striking and unforgettable. A man whose body had been ravaged by illness, yet whose presence was larger than life, an unbeatable icon. He sat there like a king of rock, a living legend embodying a resilience and an indomitable spirit that no one could deny. People saw not just an artist, but a myth coming to life in every moment. When he spoke opening the show with the choked-up words, "Mum, I'm home," his voice trembled with emotion. Though no one realized it then, this was the final moment Ozzy would come home to the place where he had started it all. After that moment, Ozzy regained his characteristic strength and launched into the familiar vocals of Crazy Train. Music was not just life, it was Ozzy's very breath in that moment. "You have no idea how I feel. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." He told the crowd, his words full of emotion and gratitude. Those words were met with thundering applause from the 40,000 fans present at Villa Park. This was not just a concert, but a festival of love, honor, and appreciation for a legend. Ozzy proved that although his body was weak, his spirit and influence would live on forever in the hearts of those who loved him. Black Sabbath's setlist for the concert was inspired by their early classics, the tracks that had become indispensable symbols of their career: War Pigs, Iron Man, Paranoid. These songs were not just musical works, but inseparable parts of rock's musical heritage. Although the performance was brief, it still carried a sense of finality, an emotional conclusion where every melody evoked memories of the long journey the band had undertaken. Fireworks lit up the night sky, creating a mystical and romantic backdrop as the band took their final bow, sending an emotional farewell to a career that had spanned more than half a century. This was more than a concert. It was a festival of memory and love for music. Although the concert was organized as a charity fundraiser, raising $189 million, the true purpose of the event was far more personal. For Ozzy, this was not just an occasion to celebrate his illustrious career, but also a chance to express his deep gratitude to those who had accompanied him on his long journey. Despite all the adoration and admiration from the audience and the music community, this concert was Ozzy's own personal journey, a journey to say goodbye to feel the final moments of his remarkable career and life. This was Ozzy's farewell, the final wish he had kept in his heart throughout his last years. Ozzy had known for a long time that his life wouldn't last much longer, and rather than feeling fear or despair, it only fueled his determination to fulfill his greatest dream, to leave this world the way he had always imagined. Not quietly, not in the shadows of illness or weakness, but in a grand performance, singing and playing music on stage before the fans who had shared in his glorious moments. This was the request he had made to Sharon, his life partner, who had stood by him through all the ups and downs. His only wish was to have one final performance, one last bow on stage, the place where everything had begun, where music had shaped his life. Sharon brought Ozzy back home, surrounded by the people and music that had shaped his life. In that emotional moment, she tearfully revealed, "He wanted me to remind him of his true self." This statement not only reflects Sharon's deep love for Ozzy, but also a promise she had kept faithfully helping Ozzy end his life in honor and dignity. Ozzy, who had dedicated his entire life to bringing music and emotion to the world, now returned to his roots, to the place where everything began. In every sense, it was a perfect farewell, closing a magnificent era of rock music and the final chapter of a legend's life. On July 22, 2025, just 17 days after his final performance, Ozzy Osbourne passed away at the age of 76. His family, in a heartfelt statement, announced his passing. This was a loss not only for Ozzy's family, but for the entire music world, as a legend left us leaving an irreplaceable void in the hearts of those who loved him. Yet Ozzy will live on forever in his music, in the timeless melodies he created, and in the memories he left behind for all who witnessed the life and career of his legendary journey. With immeasurable sadness, our family is heartbroken to announce that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne passed away this morning. He has returned to his family surrounded by boundless love. Ozzy's passing leaves a void that cannot be filled, but he left us peacefully surrounded by his loved ones. Tributes have poured in from around the world, expressing the respect and affection people have for him. From his loyal fans to his peers in the music industry, everyone shares the same sense of loss and admiration for a legend. Ronnie Wood, a member of the Rolling Stones, described Ozzy as the undefeated king of heavy metal, a well-deserved compliment for someone who reshaped the entire face of the genre. Sir Elton John, a close friend of Ozzy, was visibly moved as he called him a true legend and a friend he would always cherish. These words reflect the deep respect and love that top artists in the music industry have for Ozzy, who was not only a legend but also a loyal and sincere friend throughout many years. Tony Iommi, a member of Black Sabbath and also a close friend of Ozzy, mourned the loss of his bandmate and dear friend. He shared with sadness, "I can't believe it. My dear friend Ozzy passed away just weeks after our show at Villa Park," he wrote. "This is heartbreaking, and I can't express it in words. No one will ever be like him. Geezer Bill and I have lost our brother." Ozzy's passing completely changed the meaning of the Villa Park concert, an event that had once been seen as a grand gathering of the biggest names in rock music. After Ozzy's passing, this concert became not just a symbol of his career, but also a profound farewell from the friends and colleagues who helped write the golden pages of music history. It was not just a fundraising concert or a reunion, but the final chapter of an extraordinary life. That concert became a legendary moment where Ozzy Osbourne not only said goodbye to his fans, but also to the city and the legacy he had built over more than half a century. Ozzy's final wish had come true, a complete farewell that allowed him to leave in his own way, deeply personal and emotional. Sharon, his lifelong partner who had stood by him through all the highs and lows, made sure that Ozzy's wish was fully realized, enabling him to depart with honor and love. Ozzy Osbourne leaves behind Sharon, his wife, along with their children Kelly, Jack, and Amy, along with Jessica and Louis from his first marriage. He also leaves behind several grandchildren who will carry on his legacy. Though Ozzy has passed, his family and those who loved him will continue to carry the monumental music legacy he created. Ozzy dedicated his entire life to music, and future generations will forever remember him as an irreplaceable legend in the history of rock and heavy metal. Ozzy's music, his influence, and his final farewell performance in Birmingham will forever be etched in music history. It was a remarkable moment, a triumphant final show where Ozzy said goodbye in a way only he could. Do you think this was the perfect way for the Australian singer to close the legendary chapter of his life? If Ozzy Osbourne's story inspires you and touches your heart, don't forget to leave a comment with a 1 or a 0 if you feel differently. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss more fascinating stories. Thanks to his lifelong friend Ozzy Osbourne following the Prince of Darkness' tragic passing. The rock world is reeling, and you won't believe the emotional words Cooper shared about their decades-long bond. Stay tuned as we dive into this stunning moment that's left fans and icons alike in absolute shock. Do you have any special memories tied to Ozzy's music? If you do, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Now let's get into the video, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell to support the channel. No words can truly capture the weight of that moment. After nearly half a century breathing in rhythm with rock and roll, he had to whisper to himself, "This will be the last song." That solitary thought felt like a dagger plunged deep into his heart. It didn't just drain him physically, it burned away the final sparks of his soul. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, the godfather of heavy metal, the voice behind thousands of rebellious anthems, took his final bow to the deafening roar of tens of thousands of fans. Yet behind the blazing lights and thunderous cheers, a chilling silence had begun to settle, a legend quietly turning the last page of his life's story. While many artists still chase the spotlight, Ozzy chose to step away in silence. Alice Cooper, his friend, his longtime comrade, was just steps from the stage when the news hit like a thunderbolt. Ozzy's not well. The emotion was so overwhelming it felt as if time stood still. What followed brought even the toughest souls to tears. It was the final heartbeat of a legend echoing through every chest, trembling with emotion. In the vast silence, a single scream pierced the air, a final farewell, and then everything fell still. That night, Villa Park was no longer just a stadium. It became something sacred, a place where music, memories, and goodbye became one. Just over 2 weeks before his passing, Ozzy stepped into the spotlight one last time, not as a patient, and certainly not as a fading star, but as a giant, blazing as he always had. The Back to the Beginning show wasn't just a concert. It was a farewell gift he left for the world. "40,000 people packed the stadium that day. Some came from the other side of the world, hands trembling, as they clutched vinyl records with his lyrics still etched into their skin, as tattoos their eyes filled with deep reverence. The atmosphere was electric, yet somber, because everyone knew this could be the last time. Backstage, Sharon Osbourne, his wife, his partner, his quiet commander, pulled off what once seemed impossible, orchestrating a Black Sabbath reunion after 20 years apart. With legendary names like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and Judas Priest joining the lineup, she moved mountains, even convincing medical teams who had once forbidden Ozzy from ever performing again. But love has never followed logic. Sharon knew that concert wasn't just a performance. It was his soul on display, Ozzy's way of closing his life story on his own terms, raw, fierce, and without regret. This wasn't an ordinary tour. It was the final chapter of a legend, a piece of legacy left behind for generations to come. When Ozzy opened with the choked words, "Mama, I'm coming home," his voice was raspy and worn, not perfect but unmistakably his. The crowd erupted with emotion. They cried, they sang along, they trembled. A piercing ache swept through the air like an invisible wave, washing away all reason. Next came no more tears, echoing like a prayer. And finally, Crazy Train, the anthem of rebellion, gratitude, and unbreakable spirit. Every note was a farewell, every lyric a letter left behind for the world. As fireworks lit up the sky, Ozzy said nothing. No grand farewell, no long-winded thank you. Just a look, a single tear, and a nod, a silent tribute to those who had walked beside him for the past half-century. In that silent moment, he said it all. I've come home. I'm ready. And so the Prince of Darkness bowed one final time, not into silence, but into immortality. Across the sea of people, lighters were raised, not phones, but real flames, as if lighting his path to the other side with the fire he carried all his life. In those precious few minutes, there was only silence. A sacred silence, as if the entire universe paused to bid farewell to one of the most thunderous voices of our time. Ozzy's final wish had come true. He didn't fade away. He left with a roar, with thunder, with everything he had ever brought to music. As the final cheers still lingered in the night sky, another raspy voice broke the silence. It was Alice Cooper, the artist, who once made the world shudder with his wild, unsettling presence, now frozen, backstage like stone. I was on my way to the stage when I heard the news. He recalled, his voice catching. All I could say was, no way, no theatrics, no rehearsed lines, no grand performance, just raw, honest pain from one legend to another. That night, Alice stood under the lights as if carrying the last piece of Ozzy in his heart. He didn't run from the pain, he turned it into strength. When his set ended, he didn't retreat from the stage. Instead, he stood tall, raised his hand, and spoke to the tearful crowd. Everyone join me in wishing Ozzy a good night. The entire stadium held its breath. And then in a moment no one could script or control, thousands of voices erupted a thunderous chant. Ozzy, Ozzy, no rehearsal, no cue, just the primal reflex of grief, searching for release. A cry from the collective heart for a man who lived and died with music in his soul. When Ozzy fell, Alice didn't need flowery words. Because how do you describe the loss of someone who helped define an entire genre of music, someone who sang the soundtrack to an era of chaos? He sang beautifully. Alice thought quietly about that final show. No straining, no pretending, he just did it. Just like he always did. Even though he knew this day would come, Alice was still shaken. Because Ozzy's spirit had always been too powerful, too fierce, it felt impossible to imagine it ever being caged by death. It wasn't just sad news. It was a shock that shook the very foundations of rock music. Now the voice that once echoed across stages worldwide has fallen silent. That voice which pierced through the sound barriers of an entire generation now only resonates in memories. Ozzy is no longer here, but the music has never disappeared. Ozzy was brought onto the stage, seated on a black steel throne, a perfect symbol of both power and fragility. Though his body had been worn down by time, his spirit stood tall, just as it did in the beginning. As the lights dimmed, the crowd held its breath. In that moment, the entire world seemed to stand still. Backstage, Sharon Osbourne, the woman who had walked through every high and low with him, stood in tears. She didn't watch her husband fade away in a cold hospital bed, but beneath a blazing sky where music soared in light and reverence. The show ended, but no one left. No one spoke. For decades, these two men walked together through the shadows of rock and roll, not as buddies who texted every night, not the kind of friends who'd call to ask, "Hey, is Ozzy up yet?" Their bond went beyond conventional friendship. It was a deep respect forged in fire, the fire of the stage of chaos of true unrelenting rock. Alice knew Sharon. He'd met Jack. He'd stood beside Ozzy in Brazil at massive festivals. They once shared the mic on Hey Stupid. They didn't vacation together, didn't trade every detail of their personal lives. But every time they stood side by side, there was always that knowing look, we survived. Beneath the blinding lights and the wailing guitars that cried like mourning voices, Alice wasn't just performing. He was hurting. He was grieving. And when he bowed, it was on behalf of millions of broken hearts. No long speech, no crowd-pleasing thank you. Just one name, Ozzy, and a thunderous wave of sound that echoed like a storm, reminding the world that he wasn't just a man. He was a phenomenon, a revolution. And as the final chant of Ozzy echoed into the night, Alice stood still. He said nothing more, because in that silence, in his trembling voice and grief-stricken eyes, everything had already been said. We didn't just lose a friend. We lost a piece of our own soul. Alice had never called Ozzy her close friend. But every time they ran into each other backstage or in the middle of the chaos of a festival, the hug, the pat on the back, the look, it was unmistakable. "Great to see you, mate." Ozzy smiled his familiar toothy grin. And Alice nodded an unspoken affirmation, "We're still here, still breathing, still ourselves." They didn't need all-night parties or endless stories. Just a glance, a simple greeting, and that was enough. Between them lay a silent pact. Between two men who had walked through hell, survived, and still sang as if tomorrow would never come. In 1991, Hey Stupid, the title track from the album of the same name, marked one of the most memorable collaborations between Ozzy and Alice. Two distinctive voices, one raspy and sharp like molten metal, the other fierce like a punch to the face, blended together, creating music that was not just entertainment. It was the roar of those who had faced addiction, pain, a ruthless industry, and their own personal demons. For the fans, hearing those two sing together was like lightning striking the same place twice. Unbelievable, irreplaceable, unforgettable. But their connection wasn't confined to the studio. Brazil, where tens of thousands of people seemed to lose their minds to the sound of guitars and the roars of these two legends, stands as the most vivid proof. They didn't live the same life, but they lived through the same battlefield. They once shared drummers, bass players, and guitarists, as if swapping baseball cards. That's rock and roll, a chaotic art form where any connection is possible and nothing is forever, except the music. Alice remembered Sharon Osbourne as a silent warrior, the woman who not only stood behind but also carried Ozzy's legacy on her shoulders. He also remembered Jack, Ozzy's son, and caught a glimpse of a family filled with love amid the chaos, imperfect yet whole. Amid the laughter and the stories, now there's only a deafening silence. The kind of silence no sound can fill. Alice admits, though, they weren't close in the usual sense. This loss hit like a punch to the chest. No time to brace, no time to breathe. He was a singer for life, Alice said, his voice heavy with nostalgia. Not a singer for money, not for fame. A singer because silence was more painful than any wound. A singer because without singing they would vanish. That was Ozzy. And Alice, too. Two madmen who chose rock and roll over safety. Chose a lifestyle that pushed them to the edge but made them immortal. Now one of them sings alone. But the song remains, echoing louder than ever. In the moments before Alice steps into the spotlight, there is now a shadow beside him. Not clear, but unmistakable. The echo of a friend who wasn't often present, but was always understood. A person whose absence made the lights dimmer, the music quieter, and the crowd, though still cheering, seemed to lack something. Their friendship didn't need promises or scheduled meetings. It lived in the glance and the respect in Ozzy's wide grin when he said, "Great to see you again." And in Alice's quiet nod, "Still alive, still singing, still us." When they happened to run into each other backstage or simply stood side by side amidst the bustle of an event, the warmth in their greetings was unmistakable. "Great to see you, mate," Ozzy would say, his smile as bright as ever. And Alice, with his expression unchanged, would nod in response as if to say, "Still standing here, still breathing, still us." A silent pact between two icons, two men who had endured great trials and still sang with unwavering strength. However, now that voice is gone. Their artistic paths often intertwined in unforgettable moments. One of the most memorable was when Ozzy joined Alice on the track "Hey Stupid" in 1991. This wasn't just a song, but a cry from men who had faced addiction, the music industry, and inner battles. Together, they blended their voices, creating a rock anthem filled with urgency and defiance. It was the battle cry of those who had overcome their trials to keep on living. Have you listened to this track? Drop a comment below to share your thoughts on "Hey Stupid" or any other Ozzy or Alice song you love. Don't forget to hit like if this hits you in the feels, and share this video to celebrate the legacy of these two legends. Keep watching for more heartfelt stories. But the power of this music goes beyond the melodies. It's the unbreakable bond between Ozzy and Alice, a powerful connection that was clearly evident in their performances in Brazil. The stadium resonated with every word, every beat, with Ozzy and Alice leading tens of thousands in unison. It was an era neither of them would ever forget. They may not have lived together, but they shared the same musical battlefield, fighting side by side to bring their songs to the fans. Alice reminisced about the times he and Ozzy swapped drummers, guitarists, even bass players, like trading baseball cards. It was the beautiful chaos of rock music where everything was interconnected. Alice understood Sharon Osbourne not just through what Ozzy shared, but through the love she showed him. Behind the stage lights was a loving family, sometimes chaotic but always united. However, now, as everything has settled, there remains a silence that is almost painful. Though they weren't close in the usual sense, Ozzy's loss still hit Alice like a punch to the heart. He was a singer for life, just like me. Alice said, his voice heavy with memories, and those words seemed to say it all. A singer for life isn't driven by fame or money. It's someone who lives for the music, standing firm amidst life's harshest challenges. Whether it's addiction, loss, betrayal, or illness, that person rises every night to sing. Ozzy was like that. Alice is too. They chose music over everything, and in doing so became immortal. Now one of them sings alone. In the quiet moments before Alice steps onto the stage, there's a shadow standing beside him. It's the echo of a friend rarely seen but deeply understood. The kind of friend whose absence dims the stage lights, silences the guitar, and makes the crowd feel just a little emptier. But in the end, their connection wasn't about permanence. It was about truth forged through shared battles, shared moments, and the raw realities that few truly understand. Only those who live a lifetime know what it takes to stand firm, to scream into the void. Alice, with a heart weighed down, no longer screams for himself alone, but for Ozzy as well. There are voices that transcend time, burning bright and consuming all. Ozzy Osbourne was one of those fiery voices. Talking about Ozzy's legacy isn't just recounting milestones. It's stepping into the storm of rebellion, resilience, and an unrelenting sound. His story began far from the stage or fame. John Michael Osborne, born on December 3, 1948 in Aston, Birmingham, was the fourth child in a poor family living in a working-class town. The boy grew up amidst the noise of industry and the weight of poverty, but in all of that, something wild stirred within him. Music was his only escape. It wasn't polished or beautiful, but raw and gritty, like a scream unheard by the world around him. In 1968, Ozzy, along with Tony Iommi Geezer Butler and Bill Ward, formed Black Sabbath, not just creating a band, but also a new genre of music. With their debut album in 1970, the world heard a completely new sound for the first time. The deep, mournful chords and Ozzy's haunting voice echoed like a warning from another world. They called it heavy metal, but for many it felt more like the truth. That voice was untrained. It was born from hardship and challenges, uncompromising and unforgettable. However, Ozzy's journey wasn't paved with platinum alone. Fame came quickly, but so did its demons. By the late 70s, Ozzy was fired from Black Sabbath due to substance abuse. Many believed his career was over, but Ozzy came back stronger than ever. Alongside Sharon, his wife and manager, Ozzy launched his challenging solo career and continued to shape his legendary status. Songs like Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, No More Tears, and Mama, I'm Coming Home weren't just music. They were indelible marks in the history of rock. Ozzy Osbourne is not just a music legend. He is a symbol of resilience, of relentless battles with himself and the world. A man who chose to live with music, who overcame countless challenges, losses, and pain to continue giving to his fans. And even though Ozzy is no longer here, his legacy and his sound will forever live on in the hearts of music lovers. They were battle cries, powerful, yet fragile screams reaching into the rawest parts of the listener's soul through generations. Ozzy's voice wasn't just fierce, it touched upon vulnerability, creating a presence on stage that was indispensable. Full of surprises, explosive, and sometimes excessive, but never fake. Behind the dramatic performances, the moments that sent chills down your spine, was a true artist, pouring every ounce of his being into each moment. Every scream, every stumble, every encore was genuine and filled with emotion. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Ozzy's music became a reflection of those misunderstood and overlooked. He wasn't like the meticulously crafted pop idols, safe and polished. He was real. It was this authenticity that gave Ozzy his sacredness. When the Osbournes aired on MTV in 2002, the world witnessed another side of him. The flawed, humorous, profound, and deeply human man slowly emerged. Ozzy swore, mumbled, loved his dogs, and adored Sharon as if she was his entire world. Ozzy has struggled with tremors and memory loss, but even so, he remains a resilient figure. Even in the quiet moments of the show when he fumbled with the remote or mumbled to himself, fans saw reflections of themselves or their aging loved ones still holding on to their identity with unwavering strength despite the passage of time. Despite his health deteriorating from Parkinson's disease, spinal surgery, and infection-related issues, Ozzy never gave up on his dream. He reluctantly canceled tours, but always held on to the hope of singing one more time. The last 4 years have been hell on earth for me. My health has gotten really bad, but I won't let that pain define who I am, Ozzy once said. Music still ran through his veins. Even though his body betrayed him, Ozzy's performances were not just expressions of music, they were his purpose in life. They were a challenge, a fight against the inevitable with every chorus, every stage light. Ozzy didn't cling to youth or perfection, he clung to the truth of who he was. The scars on his body were like marks of metal, indelible imprints of a life filled with storms. Ozzy didn't shy away from madness. He harnessed it and turned it into strength. And through decades of chaos, Ozzy forged an unbreakable connection with his fans. His lyrics became a lifeline. His concerts weren't just performances, they were communion. Fans didn't just cheer, they cried, confessed, and screamed alongside him. Because Ozzy didn't sing from above. He sang from beside us, from the shadows, from the edge of the cliff, from the heart of the fire. And even in the final days of his life, Ozzy never spoke of regret. He only spoke of one last dream to return to Birmingham and sing not as a patient, but as a performing artist. That dream became a reality despite every obstacle through tears, resilience, and unyielding willpower. Ozzy didn't let death take away his microphone, and with it the final echo of everything he had fought for. Ozzy's legacy isn't found in gold records or magazine covers. His legacy is in the music, in the moments when he lived truthfully, sang with heart, and never gave up. In every scream, the teenager found comfort. In every outcast, they saw themselves through his madness. Ozzy's voice traveled through the darkest corners, reaching the most hidden places in the hearts of listeners. He wasn't just the Prince of Darkness, but a beacon for those lost along the way, a storm that never passed, a fire that never burned out. And though that voice may no longer echo on stage, it lives on in every note Ozzy left behind. Ozzy didn't just create music. He wrote history with his blood, sweat, and soul. And we, the music lovers, will never hear silence the same way again. Because now we understand that even silence can echo like Ozzy. In every crackling sound of a vinyl, in every tattoo bearing his name, in every tear shed on a bed or on stage, Ozzy remains unyielding, still pushing through. Ozzy's story isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. It's a journey of overcoming despair to bring forth the hidden light within the distortions of life. When the final curtain falls, it's not a goodbye, but a promise that somewhere in the silence between the stops or in the wail of a guitar at midnight, Ozzy Osbourne is still singing. In the final sunset of that extraordinary journey, as the stage lights dimmed and the voice that once shook arenas grew weaker, the world witnessed a transformation deeper than any encore. This was not just the final performance of a rock star. It was the painful chapters of a man who had given everything to music, to chaos, and to those who found themselves in the magnificent rubble of his legacy. At the age of 70, Ozzy's body was no longer an instrument, but a battlefield. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2003, Ozzy kept his condition a secret for years, silently enduring the torturous pain. He underwent countless spinal surgeries, persistent nerve pain, and backstage collapses that could have brought others to their knees. Yet Ozzy kept showing up, not out of obligation, but because of something purer, a sacred debt to the fans who had always stood by him through every decline, every rise, and every rebirth. Ozzy's final act of rebellion didn't unfold in the thunderous roar of arenas, but in the fragile stillness of vulnerability. In his final creative phase, Ozzy recorded Patient Number 9, an album born not from ambition, but from desperation. It was a final confession compressed into sound. Every lyric bled like a farewell. Every riff was a heartbeat challenging the silence that surrounded him. Ozzy once admitted, "I'm not afraid of death, I'm afraid of not being remembered." The recording sessions were truly exhausting. Ozzy sat and sang his hand, gripping the microphone stand like a lifeline to his own existence. Producers recall moments when he could barely finish a track without breaking down in tears. Yet Ozzy kept singing. For the music for life, and for the fans who had always stood by him throughout his difficult journey. Ozzy never saw music as a job. For him, it was an exorcism, a battle against everything dark, wild, and thoroughly human. Behind closed doors, Ozzy's struggle became even more brutal. Sharon recalls that he often described himself as a ghost in his own body, watching the world spin while he remained motionless. Yet every morning, Ozzy still made an effort to reach for purpose, driven by a memory, a melody, or simply the sound of his children's laughter echoing through the hallways. Ozzy never sugarcoated his past. In his final interviews, he laid everything bare, the addictions, the failures, and the image of the father he had always longed to be. "I wasn't always good," he admitted, "but I always tried to be better." And he kept repeating those words until his body could no longer carry the flame, yet his soul still burned fiercely. As his time grew shorter and hospital visits more frequent, family became his steadfast anchor. Jack Kelly and Amy read him letters from fans filled with stories of survival and gratitude. Sharon never left his side. Her voice was the last thing he heard each night, whispering truths meant only for them. And then silence. It was a silence no stage could hold. A vast, sacred, eternal silence. When Ozzy Osbourne passed, the world didn't just lose a musician, it lost a force of nature. An unyielding flame that burned through generations, lighting the way for the misfits, the rebels, and the brokenhearted. Ozzy's anguish became our anthem, his chaos, our clarity. Though he may have left in silence, the echo of his life endures. In every searing guitar solo, in every misfit finding themselves in his gravelly lyrics, in every soul daring to rise again, Ozzy lives on. That is his legacy, a deathless roar of an unyielding spirit. Behind every note he strained to sing, there was a soul holding it all together. Not on stage, but in the shadows where the fiercest love often resides. Sharon Osbourne was more than Ozzy's wife. She was his fortress, his unrelenting heartbeat, the architect of his comebacks, and the only soul who truly understood the weight of his chaos. Through blood-soaked tours and sleepless interventions, through whispered prayers in ICU rooms and backstage rituals, before every show, Sharon was always there. Ozzy was fire and thunder, but Sharon was rock and resolve. Now the stage is hers, and the final curtain call rests in her hands. This time she's not orchestrating a comeback, but a farewell worthy of legend. Sharon hasn't announced it, not to the press, not even to their children, because it's a private goodbye meant for those who walked every step with Ozzy, who lived through his pain and his glory. Sharon didn't just carry the plan. She held it like a sacred flame, shielding it from doubt and fear. Doctors scoffed, friends pleaded, and Ozzy himself protested. Weakened by illness and the brutal years, hope seemed snuffed out. "I can't, Sharon. I'm not anyone anymore," Ozzy whispered in despair. But Sharon, unwavering, replied with steely resolve, "You're still Ozzy, and the world still needs to hear you roar." Behind closed doors and in the quiet of night, Sharon began rallying her forces. She coordinated medical procedures, battled countless legal clauses, secured venues, and demanded impossible concessions, all for one immortal night. The cost was more than personal. This wasn't for fame or closure, but to let Ozzy end his story on his terms, not on a stretcher, but before those who'd cheered him across generations. In quiet rehearsals, as Ozzy winced with each note, Sharon stayed by his side, kneeling and whispering, "Just sing what you can." As his lungs faltered, she stood firm in the silence between words, knowing those moments were the music. When his hands couldn't grip the mic, she held them, holding faith that had carried them both. Sharon didn't just manage logistics, she battled time itself. She made midnight calls, rallied musicians indebted to Ozzy, and chose stage lighting that wouldn't dim his fragile eyes. Sharon curated every firework, every camera angle, as if they were hymns for the departed. Deep down, she knew this performance was more than a goodbye. It was Ozzy's final defiance against fate, a scream into the void, a promise that even legends don't fade. The lights blazed across the night sky. When everything was set, when the final signature was inked and the last note rehearsed, Sharon walked into the living room clutching the concert blueprint. She didn't cry or plead. She simply laid it before Ozzy and said, "July 5th, your stage, your city, your name in lights. One last time." In that moment, Ozzy looked at her, his skin sagging from pain, his breath thin as smoke. He smiled not out of joy, but resolve. Because the woman he trusted most had done the impossible. She didn't save his life. She saved his ending. This wasn't just a concert. It was a resurrection born of love. A moment so pure and fierce that the world won't remember how he died, but how she ensured he lived until the final note. As the curtain falls closing, a life forged in fire, rebellion, and relentless sound, we're not left in silence, but in echoes. Echoes of a voice that roared from the depths of darkness and pain, transforming into an anthem of hope, survival, and love. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a rock star, he was a cultural shift, a sonic earthquake that reshaped the very ground beneath our feet. And after his passing, we don't just mourn his music. We mourn the loss of a raw, unapologetic presence. Ozzy came into our lives in a way that gave us all permission to be a little broken, a little loud, and fiercely alive. Alice Cooper's voice, the first to break the silence, didn't come from celebrity obligation. It came from the gut, from a survivor witnessing the departure of a friend, a legend. At 77, Alice didn't deliver a rehearsed eulogy. He brought truth, grief, and reverence. He showed us that even legends have heroes, and even the mightiest voices can tremble when history closes. The bond between Ozzy and Alice wasn't built on weekly calls or family dinners. It was forged through decades of shared stages, shared struggles, and a shared resolve not to let the world silence them. Alice's call to the crowd to say goodnight to Ozzy wasn't just a tribute. It was a passing of the torch, a reminder that though a voice may fade, the spirit behind it lives on in every note we carry forward. Ozzy's final performance wasn't about grandeur. It was about resilience. Every note he sang in the concert's closing was a battle cry against the inevitable. His voice, though faded, still carried meaning. He didn't want pity. He didn't want tears. He wanted to roar, to stand before his fans one last time, not as a patient, but as a legend refusing to go quietly. And Sharon, ever the quiet force behind the madness, made it real. She didn't stage a farewell. She staged a resurrection. And in doing so, she gave the world something that will outlast us all, a moment of truth, defiance, and unforgettable love. Now, as we stand on the edge of the void Ozzy left behind, we must ask ourselves, what do we do with that silence? Do we retreat into nostalgia, or do we raise our voices to honor him? Because Ozzy wasn't just entertainment, he was connection. Ozzy brought sanctuary to the strange, the wounded, the misunderstood. He showed us that even in madness there's magic, even in chaos there's creation, and even in the darkest corners of the soul, there's music waiting to be unleashed. This isn't just the end of Ozzy's story, it's the beginning of his legend. Ozzy's legacy isn't measured in chart rankings or awards, but in the heartbeat of No More Tears, the wild freedom of Crazy Train, the raw confession of Mama, I'm Coming Home. His voice will live on in guitar riffs, vinyl grooves, late-night drives, and stadium echoes, and yes, in the trembling voice of Alice Cooper, who now sings a little lonelier just like the rest of us. So, if Ozzy ever lit a fire in your soul, if his lyrics ever pieced you back together when the world tried to tear you apart, honor him now. Like, share his story, leave a comment, and tell us what his music meant to you. Because Ozzy didn't go quietly. He went out roaring. And now it's our turn to make sure the world keeps listening. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. The lights may dim, but your fire will never fade. Wow, it's hard to believe we've lost a legend like Ozzy Osbourne, and Alice Cooper's heartfelt words really hit home for all of us. What do you think about his tribute and the legacy Ozzy left behind? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you're remembering the Prince of Darkness. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update on the rock world. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Rock on. Ozzy Osbourne, known as an icon in the rock music world, has faced a series of challenges in the later years of his life. Despite being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a condition that impairs movement, he has persisted in living and refuses to let illness define his life. This disease hasn't brought him closer to death. Instead, it has become a constant battle against the gradual weakening of his body. After the death of her father, Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy's daughter, shared her emotions and the truth behind the pain her family endured. Her confession was not only filled with sadness, but also revealed previously unknown aspects of Ozzy's life. These are things the world has never known about him and the complex life of a star. Could what she revealed uncover an Ozzy Osbourne that we've never seen before? Surely you've heard of Ozzy Osbourne, a music legend. But did you know the precious moments Kelly Osbourne shared about her father after his passing? Let me know if you have any special memories with your family. Leave a 1 if you have meaningful family memories, or a 0 if you don't. Don't forget to enjoy this video and hit subscribe to support us. Let's dive into this touching story. In the later years of his life, Ozzy Osbourne fought against a rare hereditary form of Parkinson's disease. Before realizing he was ill, he believed his hand tremors were due to substance abuse. However, in 2003, he discovered the true cause, and since then, he has had to live with daily medication to manage his condition. Although doctors reassured him that Parkinson's disease was not immediately life-threatening, Ozzy's condition gradually worsened. The disease began to affect his mobility and hearing. He struggled to hear and understand what his family was saying. His health noticeably deteriorated, and by 2025, Parkinson's had robbed him of his ability to move, leaving him unable to move on his own. Despite facing increasingly severe health issues, Ozzy Osbourne continued to perform on stage. Although he had to cancel several major tours due to illness and health problems, he still demonstrated his indomitable spirit. In early 2020, he had to cancel another tour to seek treatment in Switzerland and even had to confront emphysema as well. On July 22, 2025, Ozzy Osbourne passed away at his home in Buckinghamshire at the age of 76. His final moments were peaceful, with his loving family by his side. Despite battling the debilitating disease that ravaged his body, Ozzy remained a star who would never fade in the hearts of his fans. Ozzy Osbourne, the renowned British rock star, passed away at the age of 76. In his later years, he faced countless health challenges, yet he never allowed them to dominate his life. Despite his physical decline, Ozzy remained resilient and refused to let anything stop him. A true warrior with an indomitable spirit, he battled illness and life's trials without ever showing signs of worry. Known as the Prince of Darkness on stage, Ozzy Osbourne was not only a powerful artist, but also a man with complex emotional relationships. His love affairs, while numerous, did not always bring him peace. Ozzy went through many challenges in love and family, from relationships that seemed stable to the heartache of being a father and a husband. In his private life, Ozzy always prioritized family and love. In 1971, Ozzy met Thelma Riley, whom he married that same year. The couple had 2 children, Jessica and Lewis, and Ozzy also adopted Elliot, Thelma's son. However, drug and alcohol abuse, along with the constant touring, created difficulties in their marriage. As a result, Ozzy's first marriage ended after a period of time. After his first marriage ended, Ozzy Osbourne found new love with his manager Sharon Arden. Though their relationship faced challenges, the strong love between them helped them overcome obstacles. They married on July 4, 1983, coinciding with America's Independence Day, and built a new family with 3 children, Amy, Kelly, and Jack. Ozzy felt immense happiness becoming a father once again, and decided to undergo a vasectomy after Jack was born, as he felt his family was complete. Ozzy Osbourne showed an immense, boundless love for his children. He wrote special songs for them, expressing the emotional growth and love he had for his family. Ozzy also divided his time between England and Los Angeles, striving to maintain a balance between his fame and family life. Finally, Ozzy became a grandfather. Although his experience as a father had its flaws, it was filled with genuine and valuable moments. Ozzy never hid his past mistakes. Instead, he learned from them to better himself. And now, let's listen to Kelly as she shares about her father. On July 25, 2025, Kelly Osbourne spoke publicly for the first time since her father, Ozzy Osbourne, passed away. She shared her deep emotions about her father, shedding light on the love and respect she had for him, while also revealing unspoken memories and feelings from the time they spent together. Kelly Osbourne quietly endured the pain for many days, a sense of loss so vast that words couldn't capture it. Instead of speaking through speeches or media interviews, she chose to share her emotions silently on Instagram story. She didn't need long words, just a simple, sorrowful message sent through a quiet black background and a broken heart symbol. Although the message seemed simple, it carried a deep sorrow that only those who have lost a loved one can truly understand. That black screen was not just a backdrop. It was a reflection of her emotions, a pain too vast to fully express with words. Ozzy Osbourne. Kelly's father was not only a family man, but also a role model and close friend, always by her side in a world full of change. Their bond wasn't just because of their blood relation, but also through their shared love for music, precious memories, and the special connection they had. Kelly's tribute was not just an expression of sorrow, but a heartfelt message of love and gratitude for her father. She didn't stop at just a simple post. Kelly also shared the lyrics to Changes, a special song that she and Ozzy performed together in 2003. This song wasn't just any ordinary track. It became a symbol of the deep bond between them. By reposting the lyrics after 20 years, Kelly added even more significance to the message. It's no longer just music. It's a reminder of her love and her promise to always remember. When false rumors and fake news about Ozzy Osbourne's health spread before his passing, Kelly spoke out strongly to defend her father. She refused to accept the fabricated stories, misleading headlines, and AI-generated fake videos claiming that her father was nearing death. Kelly called these rumors cruel and deceitful, asserting that her father did not deserve to endure such disrespect. In 2020, Ozzy Osbourne was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and faced numerous health challenges. Despite battling the illness and his declining health, he continued to fight hard, live joyfully, and cherish his time with his family. However, the spread of false rumors hurt his family deeply. Kelly was determined to protect her father and safeguard his dignity against the lies. Unfounded allegations of a death pact between her parents sparked even greater concern. The media spread stories without any evidence to back them up, but Kelly firmly put a stop to those rumors. This time she didn't need to say anything more. Her silence was her way of protecting what mattered most: her family and her love for her father. Kelly Osbourne didn't hesitate to speak out loudly, denying the false accusations, firmly asserting that her parents were real people, living authentic lives and loving sincerely. In those painful moments, she mustered all her courage to protect her family's secrets, showing that she is a brave daughter willing to endure hardship to safeguard her loved ones. Losing parents is an indescribable pain, but that pain becomes even more unbearable when it unfolds in the public eye. Every emotion of hers was scrutinized and judged by the media. Despite facing such pressure, Kelly overcame her grief with dignity, honesty, and inner strength. Her condolences were not meant to stand out or draw attention, but were sincere, coming from the heart and her deep respect for her father. Through the authenticity of her emotional expression, Kelly connected with millions of people. Her personal story reminds us that behind every famous name lies a deeply emotional narrative. It could be the pain of a daughter losing her father, the grief of a family, or the world's mourning for the loss of a legend. Despite still grieving Ozzy's passing, Kelly has shown her respect for her father by living authentically. She cherishes the beautiful memories they created together. Though she has been silent for a time, her love for Ozzy endures and will never change. Ozzy's legacy lies not only in his musical achievements, but also in the love and longing he had for his family. For Kelly, Ozzy Osbourne was not just a famous rock star, but the heart companion and father who stood by her through all of life's ups and downs. Their relationship was not built on public image, but on genuine love, unwavering trust, and the joy they shared during their years together. Living in the spotlight from a young age was never easy. Kelly constantly faced public scrutiny, judgment, and criticism. Yet amid those challenges, Ozzy was always there not just as a father, but as an indispensable companion. He was her rock, always supporting and protecting her. As Kelly advanced in her career and became a mother, Ozzy remained by her side. In 2022, when Kelly's son Sydney was born, Ozzy embraced his role as a grandfather with joy and pride. The bond between Ozzy and Kelly was not just a family tie, but a deep, unbreakable friendship. Ozzy and his grandson Sydney grew incredibly close, almost like best friends. Ozzy was not just a grandfather, but a companion, always showing joy and love when spending time with Sydney. The moments of play and laughter they shared were priceless, touching the hearts of everyone. Ozzy didn't just appear in Sydney's life, he actively participated, spending time with him and showing boundless love. Ozzy's love for Kelly was shown not just through words, but through concrete actions. He was always there to support her during the most significant moments of her life. A special example of this love took place in July 2025 at Ozzy's final concert. Behind the scenes, Kelly got engaged to her longtime partner Sid Wilson, the DJ of Slipknot. This engagement was not a publicity stunt, but a private special moment shared with her father, family, and close crew. Ozzy infused this emotional moment with his signature humor, making the occasion even more memorable. Though the day was a mix of joy and sorrow, it was a remarkable event, filled with love and family, marked by a profoundly meaningful final performance. Kelly has countless memories of her father, but some of the most cherished are the times they spent together. Ozzy didn't just support her on stage, he was there backstage too, her closest confidant. While he wasn't perfect, Ozzy was always present during pivotal moments, becoming her unwavering support system. Their bond was built on deep conversations, quiet moments, overcoming challenges together, and endless laughter. Ozzy was the one who taught her, made her laugh, and always believed in her. Because of this, Kelly didn't just see him as her father, but as her best friend in life. Ozzy played a crucial role in his children's lives. He wasn't just a father, he was also a friend, a listener, and a protector. For Kelly, Ozzy wasn't just a rock star. He was the one who was always there for her, accompanying her through every up and down. Their relationship was built not only on family affection, but also on a genuine friendship that spanned many years. Between Ozzy and Kelly, there's an unbreakable bond. Whether it's their shared musical creativity, their emotional synchronicity, or simply the years they've spent together, their relationship has always been strong and unique. Now, reflecting on her father's influence, Kelly doesn't just recall his musical achievements or album sales. She sees a father who always put family first, a man who brought comfort to a chaotic world. Between Ozzy and Kelly is a special, unbreakable bond. How do you think family relationships can influence a person's career and life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to follow more touching stories about family and music of Ozzy. In the public eye, Ozzy was a completely different person. He was a man famous for fiery controversies, a life full of chaos, and a history rich with unforgettable troubles. As a rock star, Ozzy lived the life of a prince of darkness, constantly challenging all rules and performing shocking acts. Despite this, behind the glare of fame, Kelly saw a man carrying his own pain and a deep desire for family love. Ozzy might be a prince of darkness in the public eye, but to Kelly he was a respectable father, a close friend, and a loving grandfather. Throughout his life, Ozzy Osbourne was constantly embroiled in controversies, misunderstandings, and legal disputes, all of which only amplified his notoriety. Whether intentional or not, Ozzy's actions consistently took people by surprise. But behind all that chaos, Ozzy remained a human being, fierce, passionate, and undeniably unforgettable. Right from the start of his career, Ozzy Osbourne was a target for criticism from religious groups. Many believed his music, especially heavy metal, had a negative impact on young people. Some even accused him of promoting Satanism. Ozzy became a figure akin to Aleister Crowley, whom the media portrayed with extreme views. This perception likely stemmed from his 1980 song, Mr. Crowley, which only fueled these speculations. However, Ozzy always denied being a Satanist. Though he sometimes flaunted these ideas through his music, Ozzy consistently adhered to Anglicanism and even prayed before every show. This strange contradiction created a gap between how the public perceived Ozzy and who he truly was. Despite his image as a rebel who lived by his own rules, Ozzy never abandoned his religious beliefs. In 1981, Ozzy had a memorable incident in his career. After signing his first solo contract, he went to meet CBS Records executives in Los Angeles. His initial plan was to release a flock of doves as an act of peace, but due to intoxication, things went in a completely different direction. Instead of releasing the doves, he bit the head off, one spat it out, and blood streamed from his mouth. Security tried to remove him, but he grabbed another bird and repeated the act. This incident caused a massive shock and quickly became one of the most infamous moments in music history. Although this event haunted him for years, it remained a bizarre part of Ozzy's career. A year later, in January 1983, during a concert in Des Moines, Iowa, Ozzy had another infamous incident. An audience member threw a bat onto the stage. Ozzy thought it was a fake bat, so he bit its head off. However, he quickly realized it was a real bat. It's unclear whether the bat was alive or dead, but Ozzy had to get rabies shots. Despite this, he still felt proud of the event. In 2019, he even held an anniversary event selling plush bat toys with detachable heads, which quickly sold out. Not all the attention Ozzy received was related to his stage performances. Some people mistakenly linked violent behavior to his music. A notable example occurred in 1983 when a Canadian teenager named James Jollymore committed a horrific crime, murdering a woman and her 2 sons. It was reported that he had listened to Ozzy's song, "Bark at the Moon," before committing the crime. This association proved highly controversial and led to relentless criticism for Ozzy. However, he consistently maintained that his music was not intended to incite violence and was simply an expression of an artist's musical personality. A friend of James Jollymore, the individual who committed murder in 1983, recounted that Ozzy Osbourne's song "Bark at the Moon" had a strange effect on him, although no concrete evidence ever linked the song directly to the crime. This incident sparked concerns about the negative influence of heavy metal music on young people. Nevertheless, all accusations regarding Ozzy's music remained unproven. In 1984, another tragedy occurred when a teenager named John McCollum from California committed suicide while listening to Ozzy's music. Although his song was intended to warn about the harms of alcohol abuse, the McCollum family believed the song encouraged suicide. They sued Ozzy, but the court found no connection between the song and their son's death, declaring Ozzy innocent. However, Ozzy continued to face numerous lawsuits. One notable case in 1991 came from the parents of another young man. However, the court still ruled in his favor. Despite facing many legal challenges, Ozzy always managed to protect his rights. In the early 2000s, several of Ozzy's former band members, including Bob Daisley Lee Kerslake and Phil Soussan, sued Ozzy, claiming they weren't adequately compensated for their contributions to his albums. However, the court once again ruled in Ozzy's favor and dismissed these lawsuits. Ozzy's management then made the controversial decision to replace the original recordings on those albums with new ones performed by other artists. The original recordings were only restored for the 30th anniversary edition of the albums, much to the delight of fans who could finally hear the tracks they'd loved. In 2010, Australian guitarist Tony Iommi settled a legal dispute with Ozzy regarding the Black Sabbath trademark. Despite their disagreements, they fortunately reached a peaceful resolution. The two decided to set the issue aside and made it clear it was solely a business matter unrelated to their personal relationship. Beyond the public and legal controversies, Ozzy also had to contend with troublesome personal issues. In the 1980s, Ozzy confessed to killing 17 cats while under the influence of illegal substances. This revealed the severe impact his addiction had on him. This wasn't just a sign of the internal battles Ozzy faced, but also a testament to the harsh realities of the life he endured. Ozzy Osbourne, famous for his wild persona and explosive rock music, possesses an entirely different side that few know. Behind the loud performances, scandals, and shocking events lies a man with contradictory beliefs, unexpected preferences, and strong personal principles. While he might be the Prince of Darkness on stage behind the spotlight, is a very different Ozzy, a man who has to confront his own pain and conflicts in life. From a young age, Ozzy Osbourne displayed a rebellious nature and a fearlessness in breaking societal rules. Instead of going to a professional tattoo parlor, he tattooed Ozzy on his fingers himself using a sewing needle and pencil lead, showcasing his daring spirit and desire to live differently. This act not only reflected Ozzy's personality, but also served as a testament to a life full of defiance and rebellion where he never stopped pushing established boundaries. Despite being known for his dark music and Prince of Darkness persona, Ozzy also possesses a fun-loving and humorous side. He's a huge fan of the comedy troupe Monty Python and considers Life of Brian to be the best film ever. This fondness for clever and witty humor helps make Ozzy more approachable and is part of what allows him to relax in the public eye. His enjoyment of laughter not only helps him unwind, but also enriches his personality, creating a different image compared to the usual intensity of his music career. In 2013, a small fire broke out at Ozzy's home in Beverly Hills, causing him minor burns. However, what surprised everyone wasn't the fire itself, but his incredibly fast recovery. Despite his injuries, Ozzy remained resilient and didn't let the incident hold him back. For his 65th birthday, Ozzy asked fans to donate to a cancer charity in London instead of giving gifts or throwing parties. This act showcased Ozzy's compassion for those in need and affirmed that kindness can indeed come from a rebellious rock star like him. Ozzy's fame wasn't confined to music. It also extended into the political sphere. In 2002, both Ozzy and his wife, Sharon, received an invitation to a White House dinner. While the event surprised many, the U.S. president offered Ozzy a humorous and warm greeting. This demonstrated that even a star with a rebellious and unconventional image could still receive respect at the highest levels. Despite many people labeling Ozzy as a Satanist, this is untrue. Ozzy frequently shares his faith in God. He was baptized in the Church of England and attended Sunday school as a child. Although he doesn't regularly go to church, Ozzy still prays before his performances. Ozzy's belief in a higher power is also evident in his humorous remarks, such as when he blended truth with wit in his advice column about circumcisions. Ozzy Osbourne is a man with clear views on political and social issues. In 2009, he criticized the British Prime Minister for spending too much time socializing with celebrities instead of focusing on serious matters like the sacrifices of soldiers in war. Although not entirely against war, Ozzy always sought justice. Songs like War Pigs and Thank God for the Bomb reflected these ideologies. Although he opposed the use of nuclear weapons in World War II, he supported the use of nuclear energy for defense during the Cold War. Ozzy's stance wasn't about picking a side, but rather about seeking balance and responsibility in all matters. Throughout his life, Ozzy Osbourne has remained steadfast in his beliefs, particularly in his support for Israel. He has been a lifelong advocate and never hesitated to voice his opinions. In 2024, Ozzy opposed a cultural boycott against Israel, and in 2025, he signed a letter criticizing the BBC for biased reporting on the war in Gaza. These actions clearly demonstrate his unwavering determination to defend what he believes in. Ozzy didn't just sing about fighting for what's right. He also practiced what he preached. In the same year, he distanced himself from Kanye West due to his anti-Semitic remarks, clearly showing that Ozzy has strict boundaries when it comes to discrimination and hatred. Not only that, in American politics, Ozzy was not silent. He spoke out against President Donald Trump's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. When Trump used one of Ozzy's songs in his campaign, Ozzy strongly objected, arguing that political groups should not use his music without permission. Ozzy Osbourne is a man of many facets. Beyond his audacious exterior and vibrant music, he is both fierce and compassionate, wild and introspective. Though seemingly contradictory, these aspects of his life harmoniously coexist. He finds joy and solace in prayer, in generously helping others, and in remaining steadfast to his beliefs. Ozzy, despite being dubbed the Prince of Darkness, is also a kind-hearted, humorous, and thoughtful individual. Despite the chaos of his life, Ozzy has remained resilient and continued to pursue his passion for music. Ozzy Osbourne has journeyed a long, turbulent, and challenging path. From his early career with Black Sabbath to becoming a renowned solo rock artist, Ozzy has always been a rule breaker who confronted challenges head-on. While his music is vibrant and celebrated in the heavy metal world, Ozzy's personal life has been fraught with difficulties, including addictions to tobacco, alcohol, illegal drugs, and prescription medication, which nearly brought him to his knees. Ozzy started using illegal substances and alcohol right from the early days of his music career. While his band members also used illicit substances in the 1970s, Ozzy's habits were the most extreme. He took anti-alcohol medication, used street drugs, and smoked incessantly. Even when others were passed out after parties, Ozzy would continue his lifestyle. After being fired from Black Sabbath in 1979, Ozzy's substance abuse worsened. He holed himself up in a hotel room for 3 months, constantly drinking, smoking, and using illicit drugs. Ozzy confessed that he had been using hallucinogens for a long time and was under the influence of drugs and alcohol every single day. These issues significantly impacted Ozzy's life and career. In 1971, after a concert in Denver, Ozzy Osbourne tried illegal substances for the first time, and that euphoric feeling significantly impacted his life. He enjoyed the dreamy, surreal sensation the drugs provided, and from then on, substance use quickly became a part of his life. However, it also caused numerous problems in his solo career. His band members grew frustrated with Ozzy's unpredictable behavior, including canceling shows, refusing to perform, or singing poorly due to his addiction. His addiction led Ozzy to exhibit erratic behavior he couldn't control, like the time he fired his entire band while drunk and had no recollection of it the next day. Those close to Ozzy, especially his wife Sharon, were also affected by his actions. In one particularly distressing incident, Ozzy, in a drunken rage, attempted to strangle Sharon. Fortunately, Sharon didn't press charges, but this event forced Ozzy to confront reality and seek help at a rehabilitation facility. This wasn't the only time Ozzy's behavior crossed the line. He was arrested multiple times, including for urinating on a historic monument while wearing his wife's clothes. On another occasion, Ozzy was so intoxicated he climbed onto a table, undressed, and urinated into a music executive's drink. These disruptive behaviors, and a life filled with uncontrollable incidents, heavily impacted Ozzy's career and public image. In 2003, the situation became critical when it was revealed that Ozzy's doctor had prescribed him over 13,000 doses of 32 different controlled substances in just 1 year. Although the doctor was acquitted, this incident highlighted the severe extent of Ozzy's addiction. Ozzy had spent many years self-destructing, and scientists even studied his DNA to figure out how he managed to survive after all his substance abuse. Many people can't believe that someone who has treated their body so poorly is still alive. Some attribute it to Ozzy's extraordinary resilience, while others consider it a miracle. Throughout the years, Ozzy has made multiple attempts to overcome his drug and alcohol addiction. He managed to remain sober for extended periods, particularly in the late 2000s. However, the path to sobriety was far from easy. In 2013, Ozzy admitted that he had relapsed for a year and a half. He shared that he was going through a difficult time emotionally, but publicly apologized to his loved ones and supporters. Ozzy declared that he was sober again and determined to make positive changes in his life. This moment revealed a more vulnerable side of Ozzy Osbourne, a man genuinely seeking change after years of negative behavior. His recovery process wasn't just for his own benefit, but also for his loved ones, especially his children. By 2021, Ozzy's son Jack had successfully achieved sobriety after 17 years, and both father and son frequently discussed their paths to recovery, sharing experiences and valuable lessons. At that time, Ozzy revealed that he had been sober for about 7 years, and he genuinely seemed pleased with this achievement. He had transformed from the aggressive, notorious figure of his past into a more mature, experienced, and profound man. Despite facing countless challenges, engaging in dangerous behaviors, and suffering both physically and mentally, Ozzy persevered and demonstrated an astonishing capacity for recovery. This transformation was not just a personal victory, but also a testament to his persistent and unwavering efforts. Ozzy's life was filled with dark moments, but the important thing is that he never gave up. Although he made mistakes and hurt both himself and others, Ozzy always moved forward, learning from his failures and continuing to strive to overcome his shortcomings. He acknowledged his faults and never surrendered despite his imperfections. This proves that nothing is impossible if one perseveres and has clear goals. Ozzy Osbourne, a renowned musician, is known as a pioneer of heavy metal and for delivering energetic performances. However, behind that success lie personal struggles that not everyone is aware of. He battled drug addiction, alcoholism, and prescription drug abuse, hitting rock bottom multiple times. Despite facing countless setbacks, Ozzy always found a way to rise again and keep moving forward. Ultimately, Ozzy realized the importance of support from his family and loved ones. He understood that only with the help of the significant people in his life, and by prioritizing a sober existence, could he maintain his sobriety and happiness. Ozzy went through a challenging journey, but he finally found a balance in life, something many aspire to. If you found Ozzy Osbourne's story inspiring, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the next video on your screen to continue